charts. Every number one from 83 to the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange owl. Every number one from 83 to the press. Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one from 83 to the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one from 83 to the press. And 83 to the press. Wow! Yowza!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hi, I'm Tom.
And you're listening to Sunglasses at Night podcast. The year is 2010.
It sure is. Yes, this is the podcast where we put on our time Ray-Bans and travel back to a year in the past via the lens of the ARIA charts, the Australian Recording Industry Association charts, and look at the number one songs for that year, this year being 2010, of course. And if you want to follow along with the songs, there's a YouTube link in the description. And so, you know.
Oh, and you can go to Sunglasses at Night podcast on Instagram, where there's no content. It's just me posting a photo and some bullshit, if you want to do that. So
Sure.
Don't feel obliged.
Yes, or send us feedback and tell me how often I say like.
So 2010, it's a new decade. It's exciting. There's so many.
It sure is.
It's a world of possibilities, really. The 2010. We've just got out of the 2000s, which, let's admit, in hindsight, was a weird year for music, a decade for music. There was a sort of. We'd come out of the 90s where we've discussed a lot of things were happening. The 2000s didn't really know what they were doing. There was a lot of post-grunge, post-Euro beats.
It was a sort of a changing of the guard from your default setting for pop being kind of vaguely rock-based to the current default setting of pop being kind of vaguely hip-hop.
Yep, hip-hop and dance-based, exactly.
Electro mixed in.
So we're into 2010. Let's see whether we keep on going down that changing path. Hopefully we get some new artists. Fucking don't really want to talk about any cunt from a reality TV show ever again.
Yes.
Don't really want to have to talk about Will.i.am ever again, but spoiler alert, I think we'll have to this episode. So let's see how it goes. And yeah, anyway, I'm confident that this decade will be more, I don't know, more fruitful from the last.
Yeah, I hope it'll have a bit more of a sort of coherent musical, identity than the 2000s.
Correct,
which
exactly.
were pretty all over the fucking place.
And we're still in, at this point in time, we're still heavily into digital downloads and CD singles. So later in the decade, we're going to move over into some streaming, but at the moment, we're still in that. Now, 2010, Tom, what world events? What can we set the scene?
Sure.
What was going on in the world outside of the ARIA charts?
2010. Well, the H1N1, aka swine flu drop, originally billed as a sort of unofficial big budget COVID prequel.
Yep.
It was overhyped and under-delivered on opening day. Crowds failed to show up, and some reviewers referred to the US's death toll of 12,469 as piss week.
Yeah.
But, if we'd known then what we knew now, people should have maybe poured over it a bit more like, old copies of The Shining looking for clues that perhaps could have led them to,
realising that
what was,
Kubrick did the moon landing video. Is that what you're going for?
Or that there was a big budget sequel coming out later on.
Exactly.
Australia briefly had one of the rare non-placeholder prime ministers we like to experiment with every couple of decades before stabbing them in the back and replacing them with the old reliable cement cube for another 18 years.
Yep.
Apple released the first iPad. Since then, 20 additional models of the iPad have been released, all of which perform exactly the same function but require a different piece of wire to recharge them. By 2018, Statista reported that more than 350 million had been sold. That was 4 years ago, so logically they would all be broken now. Sorry, I'm getting an update here. The Apple Corporation politely requests that when visualising 350 million broken iPads, you imagine them all flying up to heaven on little white wings to meet Steve Jobs, and not, say, floating down a black river through the slums of a Chinese city the size of New York you've never heard of.
Exactly.
So remember the wings, the little white wings. In music news, Lady Gaga attended the MTV Awards wearing a dress and hat and shoes, which I'd forgotten, made out of meat.
Ah, good, the old meat dress. Yeah.
I forgot the meat accessories that went with the meat dress. But
Absolutely.
Do you remember why she did that, Ben?
Was it for some sort of vegan thing or not?
The obvious answers would be A, veganism,
Yep.
B, to get attention, or C, both. For Gaga, according to her, it was a statement against the discriminatory don't ask, don't tell army policy, which President Obama repealed at the end of 2010, and which was, maybe 15 years old at this point. If we don't stand up for what we believe in, and if we don't fight for our rights, pretty soon we're going to have as much rights as the meat on our bones, Gaga said at the time.
Jesus, that's a tenuous link if ever I've heard one.
Now, Ben, I'm trying to kick off the new decade with a less cynical outlook, you know. I want to get away from that sort of, Black Eyed Peas related sense of imminent dread that I've had for the last few years. But is there any chance that maybe Lady Gaga had the idea for a meat dress, thought that'll get me attention, then thought, shit, bit wasteful and gross though, better stick some sort of cause on it, then thought, I can't be fucked becoming a vegan, then thought, what else involves meat? Then forgot about it until she was inside the limo on the way to MTV, frantically Googling populist causes that mean I still get to eat delicious prosciutto. Yep. She is Italian after all.
Look,
she's got to have that gabagool, Ben.
Oh, look, no doubt.
Even if it means literally wearing a dress made out of it.
I think you're giving it too much credit saying she Googled it on the limo there. It sounds like she came up with it just off the top of her head while saying it. It's about the don't ask, don't tell. We're like, what the fuck is that? So good on them.
Such a long bow to draw.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. So I think good on her though for retrofitting a cause onto the old meat dress, because otherwise you just look like someone wearing a meat dress.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's weird. I just assumed it was always for a vegan cause.
Or
but,
animal rights. You know, obviously that would be the most obvious possible answer. But
correct. I don't know what the biggest film of the year was. Did you look at that?
No, I didn't.
I think Avatar was up there. I don't know whether that was the biggest one.
Was this the year
Something
of
around
Avatar?
that time. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and it's topical because Avatar 2's coming, Tom, a mere 12 years later. So
sure, I'm sure they will definitely come out this year.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very excited to see the future endeavours of whatever those people were called, because no one can remember. So, good times. Anyway, so thanks for that, Tom. Thanks for painting the picture of what was going on in 2010.
So what was happening in actual music terms then?
Oh, well, Tom, 2010, first song off the bat, 4th of Jan. It's Owl City with Fireflies.
Ah, yes.
Decade off to an auspicious start, dare I say. Now, I don't know a lot of the Owl City story.
No.
Tom, I'm not sure whether you do, but after I found this quote on the internet and I knew that I just needed to find out more about the artist himself. Quote, Our City, not his real name might I add, is a devout Christian and reports that his faith is the only thing more important to him than music.
Of course it is.
So it turns out that Christianity doesn't just produce terrible rock music, Tom. It's also capable of producing terrible electronic music, and if Hillsong has proved anything, it's that Christianity can produce terrible music across almost any genre, I think.
That's true.
So, look, if I had some advice for Our City, it would be this. Quit music completely and dedicate your life to Christ. That way, you're still wasting your life. If you're dedicating to Christ, let's face it, it's a complete waste of life. But at least in that circumstance, there's no chance of me having to stumble across any of his new music. So,
I'm guessing you didn't like this.
This was terrible, Tom. Sorry, I should have said that at the start. This is terrible. So, this is weak electronic pop. Is that how you describe it?
Yes.
Real weak as shit. And it has that horribly obnoxious American nasally sort of vocal delivery that's generally reserved only for the worst singing pop punk songs.
Yeah,
Fireflies are in the sky, I'm floating around.
He's deliberately leaning into the sort of twee hipster cutesy voice, isn't he? I mean, when you throw in some auto-tune that's so feeble it can't even decide if it's on purpose or not, yeah, you've really got yourself a shit burrito there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the whole thing is it's just so cutesy. It's, if you never heard it, imagine like the laziest song by Bo Burnham minus any jokes. It's just a kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
it is a bit catchy. I can see why, I can see why it was on the charts. I don't know why it's on the charts for fucking, what have we got? 4 weeks at the start of the year, but yeah, that's all it's got going for it, really.
Yeah, look, I never need to hear this again for the rest of my lifetime, safe to say. When asked what his inspiration for the song is, Our City said the following. This one time I went to Taco Bell and got a grilled stuffed burrito and some cheesy Fiesta potatoes. It was awesome. Then I went home and wrote Fireflies. And Tom,
story.
that actually reminds me of a John Lennon quote that I read. This one time I went to Taco Bell and got a grilled stuffed burrito and some cheesy Fiesta potatoes. It was awesome. Then I went home and wrote Imagine. So I think it's sort of... they're sort of pulling from the same well, I would say.
Yes.
So this is very Beatlesque. You wouldn't agree with me on that one? It's not really, is it? So
I wasn't quite sure whether this qualified for the Taxi Club or not, because he said he wrote it in about an hour or some shit like that.
Yeah.
When he was trying to get to sleep or something, but I don't even think it's interesting enough to qualify for that. Frankly.
No, not really. Our City's another one of those MySpace artists that we talked about last week. I know there's a certain nostalgia for that pre-Facebook, era of the internet where things were, less concentrated in one place and a bit more all over
Not
there.
from me, maybe from millennials.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same with me. Yeah, but young people sort of feel that. But it's hard to underestimate, Tom, just how much terrible music came out of the MySpace era as well.
Yeah, fucking oath. I know what you mean. And like, fittingly, for instance, the video for this takes place in a sort of cutesy, toy-filled bedroom. And Al definitely comes across as one of those raging, discovered in my house, woolly sock wearing twats that make you, frankly, yearn for the days when a musician had to dodge bottles every night for a decade before getting a
signed,
record deal, just to sort the men from the man children.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just warming up my quotation marks muscles here, man. Hang on. An article in the Independent at this time credited Owl City with launching the musical genre twee, like with a capital T.
Oh, good.
Beginning the careers of many similar MySpace musicians like Pajamas, the Woolly Sock Triplets, and of course Tristan Softcock, who went on to have many hits.
Some of my favourites, those guys, yeah. Absolutely. Look, I don't know. There's not a lot really more for me to say. We don't usually do recommendations on the podcast, Tom. That's something we don't usually do. But look, I feel like new decade, new sort of ideas in the podcast. We're going to be doing a lot of different stuff. I'm going to be doing more impersonations, things like that, funny voices,
I'm looking forward to that.
Those sorts of stuff. So we're sort of, mixing it up a little bit. So we thought this is a new segment where we recommend music to people that may not be familiar with Our City. So if you're unfamiliar with his work, as I said, and looking for a place to start, for my money, the best Our City album is 2014's The Best of Our City, Tom. I've not heard it, but I assume this is where all of his finest material has been collected into one easy-to-access spot. So if you want some Our City, go check out The Best of Our City. That's definitely his finest work.
Sure.
He hasn't released anything since 2018, so maybe he's on board with Jesus. As he said, maybe he's quit the game, he's gone to just do full-on work with our Lord and Saviour, which I highly endorse. The more time he spends with Jesus, the less time he spends at the keyboard, and we all are better off because of that.
Yeah, I was writing a list, so I had the song on in the background, and it ran out and then started again. So I switched tabs to discover that YouTube had started to autoplay a file called Owl City Fireflies 1 hour. To which I replied, "Don't fucking threaten me, YouTube, you piece of shit. I'll fucking take you down." Right.
Who would loop that for an hour? That's just terrible.
I don't know.
It's disturbing. I've
It's not
watched
exactly lo-fi chill study beats to study to, is it?
No, exactly.
It's
I mean,
more like the same shit song played 48 times in a row.
yeah. Look, I've accidentally put on a Captain Jack loop for 1 hour and just. it's not until about 45 minutes in I'm sort of like, oh, hey, Captain Jack. It's been going for a while. But, Fireflies, I think after 8 minutes, you're just like, oh, fucking hell, this is way longer than I remember. It's terrible. The song's shit, and his voice is annoying. But what about the lyrics that he's delivering in that fucking annoying voice? What can you tell me about that?
Well, Owl City, it turns out, is not actually an entire city full of owls. Even despite the purposefully cutesy fucking image that would create. Owl City is basically just a one-man job from a guy called Adam Young with a bit of help from Matthew Thiessen of Reliant K.
Great.
Who are a Christian pop-punk band best known for the song Mood Rings, considered one of the shittest contemporary Christian songs ever written, which you can imagine is a level of competition rarely seen outside of interplanetary warfare. So getting up to that level, so those combination of those two resulted in lyrics like, I'd like to make myself believe that planet Earth turns slowly. It's hard to say that. I'd rather stay awake when I'm asleep because everything is never as it seems.
Great.
Now, as a Christian, Adam has already demonstrated powerful levels of delusion, and I believe he's up to the task, Ben. I also believe he's up to the task of lying on the ground while I kick him in the nuts for writing multiple verses full of shit like, 'cause I'd get 1,000 hugs from 10,000 lightning bugs as they tried to teach me how to dance. Now, I'm about as macho as Mark Zuckerberg, but there are a few styles of music such as shoegaze, Melbourne jangle, and this shit that just makes me want to eat raw meat, wrap a bike chain around my fist, and uppercut a shoeless singer-songwriter into the front row of a Sugar concert.
Yep.
I mean, seriously.
Those lyrics are terrible. They're some of the worst I've ever heard.
When you combine that with the cutesy auto-tune, the cutesy accent, the cutesy topic matter, the cutesy tinkly synth shit, and the cutesy born-again Christian did this in my bedroom in my pyjamas thing, yeah, it's pretty nauseating.
You know something's bad when you're listening to it and you're longing for Maroon 5? I think that sort of says to you, this is awful.
God. I know I say this often, but I think this might have been the most powerful year I've had that we've done to date for just wanting to hear the sound of a guitar being strummed.
Yeah.
Even if it was being strummed in the service of, I don't know, I wish I was a punk rocker with flowers in my hair or some shit.
Yeah, jeez, that's okay. I will agree to
all right,
disagree
maybe
with that
I'm not
one.
going that far, but, let's say the session musicians who played in her band, let's say that.
Well, I think the thing about I want to be a punk rocker with flowers in my hair wasn't it only like hand clapping and shit? Wasn't there like
Yeah,
no
it wasn't even
but
that,
anyway,
was it?
Well, let's say Lifehouse. You yearn for the days of falling even
No,
more.
you're right. I went too far then. That was going too.
So our city fucking somehow has 9 million monthly Spotify listeners. I don't
Christians.
No, yeah, that's
Christian
true.
community.
Christians.
It's an entire separate music industry unto itself in America.
Yeah.
You can be completely famous there and rich and successful without anyone knowing who you are outside of it.
Yeah, they've got a lower bar for quality, I find, the Christian audience. They'll listen to fucking anything. So, yep, it totally explains that. And this will cost you $4.50. Geez,
we're outside of the physical thing now. aren't we?
We're into that sort of everyone's digital downloading, and you're really only they're pressing up like 100 singles.
It's got to be
that.
that.
So cool. All right, let's move on. That was fucking garb. Up next though, it's Ayaz with Replay. Now, the Ayaz story, Tom, this is just for 1 week. 2 weeks, I think, actually. Sorry, 2 weeks on this one. Now, for those of you that don't know the Ayaz story, Tom, are you familiar with the Ayaz story? You don't know the Ayaz story?
I even vaguely remember Sean Kingston. But
Yep.
yeah.
So Sean Kingston discovered Ayaz through his MySpace page in 2008.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure Sean Kingston's in the position to be discovering anybody. For my mind, that works against the artist, I think. If I found out that someone was discovered by the dude who recorded Beautiful Girls, then that's a hard pass. I assume it would just be fucking garbage. So someone could come up to me and say, Tom, this is the best new artist of all time. They were discovered by Sean Kingston. And I think I would immediately have my doubts as to sort of whether they are the best new artist.
Yes.
So,
it's like being discovered by Akon. It suggests a number of things.
Look, so Ayaz hasn't released an album since 2015, And look, he's not Rihanna, is he? He doesn't have other business interests and things that he's got better time to do than record music. So I assume the general public share my sentiment about Ayaz and just decided that with his affiliation with Sean Kingston was sort of enough for people just to say, I don't want anything to do with that anymore. So, because this is, look, Kendron Jones, a.k.a. Ayaz.
Oh, okay.
Ayaz is not his real name, much like our city. No one's using their real name these days, Tom.
Okay.
He was born in the US Virgin Islands and then raised in the British Virgin Islands. So one can only assume, looking at the location of his birth and then his residence, that this project was 100% paid for with money laundered into offshore tax havens. I mean, that's the only explanation that I could come up with.
Seems quite likely.
Yeah. Look, this was most likely, and when I say most likely, I mean 100% certainly financed by drug money. So next time you're about to hand over $500 for that gram of cocaine, just have a hard think about the proceeds of the drug trade, what that finances. It isn't, it finances, guns and criminal enterprises, human trafficking, but it also does some bad things like music such as this. So that's the problem. People buy the drugs, they don't think about where it goes offshore, and then people just use it to record songs like this, and they write that off as a tax thing. So
yeah. Replay was the first song off Ayaz's debut album, but it didn't actually take off as a hit for 9 months or so. This is a 2009 release.
Jeez, what happened? How did that happen? What happened?
Well, I mean, I guess sometimes you put that bottle of wine on the shelf and you end up with some Grange. Other times you get salad dressing,
Correct.
Which is one way I might be tempted to describe this song. To be honest, I listened to this a couple of days ago and I'm struggling to remember what it even sounded like then.
Yeah, look, so this was written by Ayaz, Sean Kingston, we mentioned previously, and Jason Derulo.
Yes.
And I would describe it as borderline annoying electronic pop. Is that, like, it's not annoying like a Black Eyed Peas song where you want to jump out of a window, but it's borderline annoying where it's a bit kind of like, oh, this is shit, but not so shit that... Yeah, anyway, but look, friend of the podcast, Flowrider, features on the remix, which makes it slightly less shit.
Yes.
So he pops in and you're like going, okay, at least, if the remix is on Cole's radio, I can just at least wait for the Flowrider bit to get me through.
Yeah.
But look, so as Ayaz explained, it's about this girl I met in a shopping mall. I approached her and engaged her in conversation. Not everyone takes that step. You usually see someone, you don't say anything and then regret it. But I couldn't stop thinking about her. She became my girl, but we're not together now. I've met plenty of girls, but I'm not looking. I don't have the time. That's why we separated. Now, it's good that he took the approach of actually talking to someone. That's nice. I'm not sure whether he was stalking them at the shopping mall. I don't really know the context. But he went up and spoke to them. So, look, respect to Ayaz for that.
Sure.
Looking at his recent musical output, it would appear that he has time now. He didn't have the time back then. He was too busy. But he has fucking loads of time now. So I hope he kept her number and, just phoned. Yo, it's Ayaz. That one-hit wonder from a decade ago you met at a shopping centre. Should we hook back up? You should give it a go.
I mean, about the most interesting thing I could say about the inspiration for this song is that, unlike every other song for this entire year, it's not about meeting someone in a nightclub.
No.
At least in this case, he met her at a shopping mall instead. I mean, but it really is pretty feeble, isn't it? Like, even the production lacks the excitement of the average Lonely Island piss take single, and the whole thing just feels kind of toothless and sort of Disney Channel Kids' Choice Awards,
Yeah, absolutely. No, completely agree.
Like, the video is like that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the video clip was described by the director as, quote, the concept plays to the song's narrative, featuring a Caribbean beach backdrop as Ayaz's love interest takes over his iPod in a romantic twist on technology. A romantic twist on technology, Tom. What I saw was Ayaz hanging out with his easy-on-the-eye female companion in a series of bikinis. And then in one bit, she's on rollerblades. Now, Ayaz is wearing an Ayaz stuck-on-repeat shirt that I'm 100% in the market for. So if anyone has one of those, please send it through to the podcast.
No, I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like it briefly hints at the idea of him being able to, like, forward and reverse time with his iPod, like hinting at the idea of replaying a moment sort of thing. But I mean, imagine what Shaggy would have done with the concept of being able to replay a moment in time.
A lot of boning, I imagine.
The lyrics would have been banned in Walmart, and the video would just be an X-rated version of the Adam Sandler film Click. Probably just the same 4-second long penetration shot repeated
over and over
for
and over.
4 minutes. Whereas this is just sort of, I mean, even describing it as a Caribbean beach backdrop is pushing it. It's just some sand somewhere, there's no sort of. It just seems... It's like things have gotten less interesting.
Yeah, it looked like someone had just
time.
purchased a ton of sand at Bunnings and dumped it in their backyard and went, there you go. Look...
I don't say this lightly, the Peter Andre clip, the Peter Andre song...
Mysterious
Girl has a more island vibe. It has a greater sense of location. Dare I even say it, it's a sexier video than this even.
Oh, for sure.
This is it's literally just about meeting someone at a shopping mall.
It is, yep.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure the director actually followed through with that concept he'd put forward, because having watched this, I'm not sure there was any correlation between what was captured on film and his sort of romantic take on romantic twist on technology. So, the iPod thing, I don't know, it's very tenuous. So, yeah, in 2009, The Boy Next Door versus Reno Sambo released a cover of this song. It's crazy that Nick Cave got his old band, Boy Next Door, together to do a cover of this song, but stranger things have happened, I guess, Tom.
I didn't actually... Is that what his first band was called?
Yeah, before the birthday party, they were called Boys Next Door. So
I mean, he's a mysterious genius, that's for sure.
He is, absolutely.
I do look forward to seeing Iaz starring in Dogs in Space 2 at some stage.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Hopefully relocated from outer Richmond to Coke Money Haven in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, yes. Really look forward to that. What are... These lyrics are not great. What do you go for me?
Credited to Sean Kingston, Timothy Thomas, Theron Thomas, Jason Derulo, J.R. Rotem, and Iaz, which is about 6 too many people for this lazily tossed off bollocks.
Yep.
Remember the first time we met? You was at the mall with your friend. I was scared to approach you, but then you came closer, hoping you would give me a chance. Who would have ever knew that we would ever be more than friends? Remember when I was giving shit to teenage Taylor Swift for writing a cheesy song based on Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out there's lazier ideas for a romantic song, Ben. Like some random skank you saw outside Chadstone Shopping Centre and food court and hooked up with for a bit, then you broke up with. That's the end of the fucking story.
That's basically it.
Full end of the story. Minus any even of the juicy, Shaggy-style details about boning her in the back of a dado or something. Just nothing.
What about the ups and downs? Nothing.
Nothing, just...
Anything happened?
It ended.
Nah, we were together and then I was too busy, so we broke up.
You feel sad? Not really. Just boned some other chicks instead.
Yeah. This is terrible. Look, dare I say we won't have to talk about Iaz ever again. So you got anything more to say about this guy?
No. Are we doing numbers this... Or are you...
Sorry, what?
Are we going to do, Spotify listeners?
Oh, yeah, 6 million for this guy on
Sorry.
Spotify. Fucking oath. I don't know where that came from.
I know.
6 mil.
I've never heard of him. Sean Kingston, even, I've vaguely heard of, but
yeah. And this will cost you $2.88.
Maybe he has a hometown,
Don't know, but
maybe
anyway.
the US Virgin Islands.
Yeah, they love him there.
The
probably
6 people and a pelican that actually live there on a giant pile of mailboxes full of offshore drug money.
Yep, so 2 weeks of that was no good. But up next, don't worry, we've got the powerhouse. It is Jason Derulo with
back.
In My Head.
Sure.
Now, Tom, this is the first introduction to Jason Derulo in his own right on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
But if you can remember from 30 seconds ago,
barely.
he was involved in the sublime lyrical content of Iaz's track.
I hope you're not using this as a sort of forewarning, Ben, of a kind of theme that's going to go through this entire
Derulo,
year.
I don't know.
Of just people, that same 4 people just being on every single cunting song.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sure that won't come up again. I'm sure this is the only time that I'll hear it. Yeah.
So look, great start of the year for Jason Derulo. He's got a co-writer credit on Iaz as number 1.
Sure.
He's popped in here with his own number 1 in my head. And so good on him. So look, for those of you that don't know, Jason Derulo's pop, R&B, hip-hoppy sort of influenced pop guy, which I guess
Yeah.
is popular now and was at the start of the decade. He's named Michael Jackson as his main inspiration. Derulo starts, "Here's the reason I am who I am today. When I was 4 years old, I saw him for the first time. I saw how he moved the crowd and how people were just so touched." Look, it's hard to say from, Derulo's comments if he was referring to a metaphorical touching of people's hearts by the music or a literal touching of kids' penises by Michael Jackson. But I'll give Derulo the benefit of the doubt that he wanted to get into music so that people, that have a positive emotional experience, rather than he got into music so he had easy access to vulnerable children in an industry where people seem to turn a blind eye to powerful people's unacceptable and often criminal behaviour, as this is the main source of their income. So I assume it's the former.
Yes.
Touch hearts,
I mean, yes.
not dicks.
Probably a good thing Derulo's parents, for instance, didn't facilitate a meeting at that point in their son's life with,
Yeah, very true.
Also, maybe you want to fucking update your musical inspirations bio, bro. I mean, I don't believe in rewriting history, but there is a reason I stopped telling dates how much I liked Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to save money on buying them drinks, but still, there has to be a point where you at least,
Just say Prince. Who's
Yeah.
your musical inspiration? Prince. Dude's dead. He didn't do a thing wrong in his life.
Or maybe just take the word touched out of, any description of an experience with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think even if you are going to say Michael Jackson is my favourite performer in the world, to sort of end that quote with, "I saw how moved the crowd were and how people were so touched," it sort of...
I mean, that word's lost some of its, innocence over the years. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like just recently I was trying to get that script off the ground for that modern reworking of Touched by an Angel called
Yep.
Touched by a Member of the Clergy, but, people weren't into it.
weird.
They said Touched by an Angel, that was fine in the 80s,
Yep.
but, touched by a Catholic bishop now, people doesn't have the same wholesome thing that it used to have.
I think the problem is, Tom, that angels are sort of not real. So people, they're off in like a,
okay.
it's like a sort of, it's a fantasy type thing. Whereas I think
Sure.
with the church thing, it's a bit too real, and
But
people
the
want.
Pope is,
He's
God's
basically
representative
God,
on
yeah.
earth.
He is,
so
definitely. He's
if
the
he
new
touches
God.
you, surely that's a holy experience.
That is for sure.
I'll have to ask Pink about it later on in the year. We'll get up to that.
Indeed. Now, Derulo's expressed, Tom, that he operates in, quote, two musical modes.
Sure.
So he describes one as positive PG romance dance pop, and the other musical mode as bumping faux crass club thumpers. And he's been tweaking the two modes just enough so that they're able to offset each other, so that the audience never grows sick of either style. So this song, In My Head, this is his first number one here.
Yeah.
Is this a positive PG romance dance pop, or is this bumping faux crass club thumper? Now, it was originally titled In My Bed,
Oh, really?
which would have put it into bumping faux crass club thumping territory. But at the last minute, it was changed to In My Head, which switches it over into a positive PG romance dance pop territory. You see, he operates in two musical modes, Tom. There's positive PG romance dance pop,
see.
bumping faux crass club thumpers. Now, when I listen to Jason Derulo, which is twice a day albums, I'll put on a Jason Derulo album. It'll come on, I'm enjoying it, it's positive PG romance dance pop. After 2 or 3 songs, I'm thinking, I've had enough Jason Derulo, I'm going to press stop on the CD, put something else on. But then a bumping faux crass club thumper will come on, and I'm like, whoa, he's reinvented himself, this is great, I'm back in. So I'll listen to 3 or 4 of those sort of, bumping faux crass club thumpers. Then I'm about to go, okay, I've had enough of that. About to press eject on the CD. Then a positive PG romance dance pop will come back in. I'm reinvested. So he shifts between the two musical modes, Tom. There's 2 of them. Positive PG romance dance pop, pumping faux crass club thumpers. 2 musical modes. The audience never gets bored because he's working between those.
Yes.
That's how he works. That's how he operates. 2 musical modes. And I'm invested all the way. Good on him. What do you think, Tom?
Well, as far as I could tell, it mostly seems to involve changing the occasional word, like the word bed to the word head.
Yeah.
Because if there's
That's
a
the main
difference,
difference.
musically speaking, between the Derulo rating system, I couldn't tell. I mean, he does have songs called If I'm Lucky, Take You Dancing, and Marry Me, on the one hand.
Yep.
Then he also has songs like Swallow, Talk Dirty, and Kama Sutra. I mean, okay, it's possible he's a funny guy and all the filthy sounding songs are actually innocent and vice versa, but the only way to tell would be to listen to them all, and I don't like his music very much. I find that very much like his facial hair, an extremely small amount of Derulo's music goes a very long way.
Agreed.
If you know what I'm talking about.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
look-
I mean, look, I don't know about his two musical styles, but he certainly isn't scared of using every 2010 EDM cliche in the book. 30 seconds into this song, we've had fake radio station snippet of old song used as intro.
Yep.
DJ repeating his own name.
Yep.
Distorted vocal shout out to the suburb you grew up in. Multiple air horn stabs. T-Pain rip-off auto-tune vocals, and fakey pseudo-rock guitar sample beat stabs kind of things. If this was any more 2010, it would be using a brand new iPad to investigate these new Instagrams that everyone's talking about, then immediately getting bored and watching The Tooth Fairy starring upcoming talent Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But yeah, which would have been a better use of my time than watching this music video, frankly, which is just him standing around a car park, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Derulo dated friend of the podcast, Jordan Sparks.
Ah, good
For
old
3
Nowhere
years.
Jordan.
So we love, yep,
I thought
Nowhere
I'd bring
Jordan.
my Nowhere Jordan joke back. Sounds better when it lasts for 3 seconds instead
Yeah.
of 10 minutes. Sorry.
Look, she was able to extract herself from that toxic musical relationship with Chris Brown. It can be hard to get out of a toxic relationship at the best of times, but I imagine it's even harder to get out of a toxic duet relationship, as the song's been committed to tape and it's there forever and you can't really escape it. But
True
anyway,
that.
so they broke up. Then on the 8th of May 2021, he had a son with his girlfriend Jenna Frooms, and the couple broke up on the 23rd of September 2001. Now, I don't want to tell Jason Derulo how to live. I don't want to tell him how to live his life. I don't want to tell him how to be a parent. But if you've just had a kid, you might want to give it more than 6 months, I think, before calling it quits forever. I'm just saying, Jason, stick around. You know, I know you're touring the world, but how will your son ever learn about the two musical modes, positive PG dance pop or bumping faux crass club thumpers, if you're not there every day to teach him
You
that
see,
sort of
this
stuff?
is the problem with relationships, Ben.
Yep.
You know, too many people get in at the bumping faux crass club thumpers level,
Yep.
but then they can't sustain it through the PG.
Yeah, exactly. He's a
What was
hypocrite.
the PG one?
Positive PG romance dance pop. So
You know, so they could do the club thumping
Yeah.
metaphorically, but they couldn't do the PG
Exactly.
dance pop raising an actual human
Yeah,
child part.
for sure. And look, I don't know. I don't want his son to grow up being well versed in positive PG romance dance pop, but not knowing anything
Yeah.
about bumping faux crass club
That's
thumpers.
the thing. You know, kids raised without a male role model in the home, you know, they have
How's
to
he
pick
go-
up their knowledge of thumping faux crass club thumpers
From the
I guess,
playground.
or the club maybe.
Oh,
But
exactly.
yeah, the playground also, which would be, you know, about
sure.
the same intellectual level as most of these songs are pitched at, admittedly, but less pumpy bass.
Yeah,
you know.
no, indeed. But I'll tell you what I like about Jason Derulo, Tom, and
Sure.
you mentioned it earlier, and that's at the start of every one of his songs, to the best of my knowledge. He says his own name.
Yes.
Jason
It
Derulo.
was the fashion at the time. I believe Flo Rida
I think he
was
still
also
does it now.
a proponent,
I think
and
even-
Timberland
Yeah.
was also a big fan.
I'm pretty sure I heard a Jason Derulo song last year, and he still does it. So, and that's what I like about it, because you're in the IGA or at the Coles trying to get some eggs. Coles radio's blasting, and you're listening to a song. It comes on, you're tapping your toes, you're clicking, you're going, yeah, you're really into it, and then you're like going, what is this song? Who is this? And then
true.
Jason comes on and goes, Jason Derulo, and it puts you at ease immediately because you know who you're about to get and what you're about to get. So that when you get home after doing the shopping, you can sit down on the couch, you listen to the song again, you're like, I love that Jason Derulo song. You get it on Spotify, YouTube, you do some Googling, you find it. But if Jason doesn't say his name, you're at the supermarket, you get home, you're sitting on the couch, whole afternoon thinking, what's that song? I need to hear that song again. And you're cursing yourself for not Shazamming it, for not doing the research. You're wasting all that time. You're going, Jason cuts that out and says, I'm saying my name. So whenever you hear his song, you know it's him. And it's those small touches, I think, because let's face it, the rest of his music's generic as all fuck. It sounds like anything else. But him saying his own name in the song, I think, really elevates that for me.
I think he should go even further and put it in at the end as well to back announce his own name.
Yeah,
as well,
definitely.
just in case you only hear the last 10 seconds of the song. I mean, I appreciate this, but I will say it does take a certain level of restraint. I mean, there are plenty of hip-hop songs that basically turn into a name check of every prick they ever went to school with.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when you get home, you can't remember which of them, if any, was responsible for the one verse of actual rhyming nestled in the middle of their fucking audio address book that you've just listened to, so you you need there to be more song than name. And
for sure.
But
I agree with that.
no, I get the idea of an audio trademark of just going...
Yeah. Well, Jay, he should have went one further, did it at the back end, and he should have taken a leaf out of Crazy Town's book and maybe dropped his website in there as well. www.jasonderulo.angelfire /
Don't forget to mention any alcohol brands you may or may not be currently promoting in there too.
Correct, yeah, exactly right. Now look, sometimes I wish we had a female perspective on this podcast, Tom. I feel like that might not work because, either you or I would have to be an ex-football player to keep the tried and tested Australian radio announcer ratio intact of being a dude, sometimes a low-level comedian or some sort of TV host, the block contestant, maybe the Bachelor. That's usually the one. Then there's the ex-footballer, and then there's the chick one. That's sort of the format that they do. And the reason it would be good to have a female perspective on the podcast is right now I'd like to ask them, if you pulled into a 7-Eleven car park and there was a dude with two of his mates doing the robot as part of a choreographed dance piece, is that enough to persuade you to go to the nightclub with the guy? Or is it an early warning sign that this dude is unhinged to the point that any further contact with him is not recommended? And what if the guy was doing that, but he had a pencil-thin Craig David beard?
Yeah, even calling it pencil-thin is pushing it. We're talking more like a 0.5mm fine liner.
Yeah,
from
definitely.
The art supply store, I think.
Was it HB or a 2B? I don't know.
I would say a very highly sharpened 4H, I think.
Yeah.
To the point where he's risking cutting his own face off.
I'd say so.
But I think in my mind that would depend on the quality of the robot that was being performed. If we're talking a very good old school 80s two-person robot, I might consider a threesome with those two guys because they're obviously very highly in sync and possibly already romantic partners with
definitely.
matching tracksuits. So, that's the kind of insight that perhaps a female member of the podcast could provide. But, I'm just having a guess.
Yeah, because, you've mentioned it before, Tom, earlier, that's what this podcast is. It's just Jason Derulo and friends doing a robot in a 7-Eleven car park. As a way of meeting chicks. And look,
it looks like they're about to go somewhere, but they never actually go anywhere. It's like teenagers hang around in a car park before nothing happens. They just fuck around in the car park.
I've tried it, Tom. It doesn't work. Chicks are not interested in this.
No, you need to be able to do kick flips.
Yeah, look. I will say it does have more success in a Foodworks car park, as Foodworks shoppers have lower expectations across the board generally.
That's true.
In every facet of life.
Yes.
Not just in their grocery shopping, but also when looking for a romantic partner. So if you're going to do a poor robot, find a Foodworks and give it a go there. Now, Jason has said this, Tom, quote, "I never write songs down. I feel like the pen dilutes the music. I get a concept, go into the booth and just start singing. I start off with a melody and then figure out the words to match." Do you think that a pen dilutes the music?
I think he used up all the ink in the pen drawing his own facial hair on.
Yeah,
but lyric-wise, I am shocked, Ben. Truly, I'm shocked. I can't believe any man could somehow just extemporise lyrics such as, "Some dudes know all the right things to say. When it comes down to it, it's all just game. Instead of talking, let me demonstrate, yeah. Get down to business and skip foreplay."
Ooh.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely trying that on my next Hinge date. I tell you what. Has Derulo discovered a dating secret that men have missed for thousands and thousands of years, Ben?
No, I'm
that
not
you just
sure.
walk up to someone and say, look, I'm shit at pickup lines, but if you don't have plans over the next 5 seconds, how about we just raw dog it dry in the men's toilets?
I'd say so.
I mean... I've never tried it. Maybe he has. Maybe that's why they're in the car park, because he
That's
never
true.
gets to the nightclub. He's too busy fucking in the back of the car
Yep.
with his no foreplay, do you want a root secret? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely romantic, though, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just glad he didn't write those lyrics down. I'd hate for them to be diluted. They were so strong as they are. And
There's not a word out of place,
if
is
you-
there?
if
You
you
can't
put-
take anything
I think
away
if you
from
put
that.
pen to paper on those, they'd be a lot worse. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that he
that's
just
right.
went in there, ad-libbed that, and kept them as they were. So
The only thing is that I fear that, maybe one day they'll be lost to future civilizations
Yeah.
because they never were written down.
Yeah, exactly.
Digital media is so ephemeral, I wouldn't like to think that instead of talking, let me demonstrate, get down to business and skip foreplay would ever be lost to time.
yeah, I wish other people would try that out though. Sort of, a Dan Brown style thing. I don't write things down because the pen dilutes the book. So
Yes, that's
other
right.
people. So
Sure.
might try that at work. I haven't done my report because I feel like the pen dilutes.
Well,
things.
I have heard from numerous visual artists over the years, and some writers too, the whole, I like to go into things without a plan,
Yep.
Because I feel like pre-planning, I lose the sort of inspiration that comes from the actual process. But with those people, you do often tend to notice that everything they do is kind of exactly the same.
Yeah, true.
So maybe a combination of the two things. You can.
I never have a plan. I just go hot off the sort of off the brain, off the top of my dome, as Bomb Funk MC.
And when
would
I
say.
come up to the drawing board and think, what should I draw today, and I have no ideas in my head, then the first thing that pops into mind is, well, how about the last thing I drew? I'll just draw that again
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
easy. And that's still in my brain because it's the last thing I did. You
Yeah.
fucking twat.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But if you do it with four times in a row, 4 days in a row, you end up with Donatello, Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and you got a hit on your
hey,
hands.
if you can get anyone to pay you to draw Ninja Turtles, then I take my hat off. You're
Absolutely.
the expert, and I'm not. So
For sure.
go for it.
34 mil on Spotify. It's a lot for Jason
Fucking
Derulo.
hell.
It's an absolute fuckload.
I mean, he's still doing
He's
shit
still-
now.
he's
and
still
he does
cranking this
production and shit
He
too,
does.
same as the other guys.
Still
Like,
cranking this out and
remixes
still saying
and
his,
stuff.
his own name as well.
Derulo.
And $1.50.
I remembered the name. I'd forgotten the supplementary business card style address code where you go. You've got two different guys. So one guy, Jason Derulo, and another guy goes just Bakersfield Heights.
Yeah.
As well. I wish I had an audio business card like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, he knows what's up, and I respect him for sticking with it. 10 years deep at this stage, I believe. So good on him. So that was number 1 for 2 weeks. Coming up next, 8th of March, it is Rihanna with Rude Boy. Rihanna's back, and holy shit!
Yeah, she really needs to meet Jason Derulo. They're on the same timetable. Straight up, unlubricated public banging. That's what they're into.
Absolutely. Now, Tom, we usually leave the lyrical highlight to the end, and I assume that you may have some other lyrics that you want to discuss.
No, please.
But I feel like the best starting point when doing a deep analysis of Rude Boy is the song's opening lyric itself. Come here, rude boy, can you get it up? Now, that's a call to arms if ever I've heard one, Tom. I do find it difficult to imagine any straight man on the planet finding themselves in a scenario where a possible sexual encounter with Rihanna is on the cards and not being able to get it up.
Yes.
And if you can't, then you need to seek urgent medical advice, I dare say. Now, to be honest, that's probably the absolute least of Rihanna's problems, meeting a dude that can't get it up. Although the next line, come here, rude boy, is you big enough, suggests that Rihanna has probably acquainted with some possible suitors that are not large enough in the cock department. I'm not sure what size dick Rihanna is looking for, but if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say large to very large.
She's a girl with standards.
She is, yep. Look, we'll never know, I guess, unless Rihanna releases a sort of rude boy dildo range. We do know she's a businesswoman first and foremost, so that is on the cards. I think there was a time, well, I feel like there was a time where only probably like porn stars or opportunists who would do anything for money, you know, like Paris Hilton or the entire Kardashian family would do a dildo range. But I feel like these days anyone could probably do one and it would be classy. I think we're sort of more sex positive these days. I don't really think people would care.
Even crazy shit like fucking Goop, you know? I feel like...
Yeah, exactly.
Say what you like about Gwyneth Paltrow, but she's sort of kind of middle-class white person legitimised all these weird...
vagina kind of candles and
any old
shit.
sex positive nonsense you can think of.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Rihanna should probably do it, and then maybe we'll get an idea of the exact rude boy dick size that she's after.
Ben,
So
Ben, hang on one second. Have we actually checked to make sure that she doesn't have a dildo range yet?
I don't know.
It is 100% possible that she does.
She probably does, yeah. Anyway, look, we'll edit that in. I'll do some good edit that in later. It's okay. Look, okay, I say anyone, but maybe if the dude from Nickelback released a flaccid rubber penis he could chew on like he did his own dick with no practical application as a dildo whatsoever, that would be opportunistic and probably inappropriate. But anyone else, I think Rihanna, clearly, we've just talked about this. Certainly Fergie. I think Fergie's dildo range. Nicki Minaj, Queen Elizabeth II, it all works as far as I'm concerned.
Couldn't we just, as a sidebar, reiterate once again, like the anal cunt story, just in case anyone didn't know, that the guy from Nickelback once voluntarily told an anecdote to a reporter about how he once sucked his own dick.
Yeah. His own flaccid dick sort of stretched it into his mouth. So it's
I have a theory.
For a case of beer, I think, was
I have a theory. It's called the chef's hat effect, which is named after a Seinfeld episode that I won't explain in detail because it will take too long. But basically it says that reality, most of the time, is more boring and, unnarratively satisfying than movies or human narratives, constructed narratives. But in about, X% of cases, small number of cases, it's far weirder and more contrived and bullshit sounding than fiction. E.g., if I wrote a story about a fucking shit rock character like the guy from Nickelback, and I wrote a story about him in an interview telling the interviewer a story about him sucking his own dick, like outside of a sort of drug-fueled mania, then it would seem ridiculous. It would seem why would anyone ever say that to an interviewer? If you'd even done that, why would you tell anybody, let alone, it's the... man,
it's like those things where it is those
and
things,
it's the perfect band to have done that because it just metaphorically it's too obvious a metaphor is what I'm saying.
It's when something happens in real life and you think if somebody wrote that, you would accuse them of being the hackiest, most bullshit writer because it's so ridiculous, and then it happens in real life and people go, oh, okay,
yes,
good.
I mean, but there it is,
for sure. Now look, this song, Rude Boy, we had some Rihanna songs at the end of the last decade as well. This is from a new album from Rihanna.
Rated R.
Rated R, sorry, And then
which
she's
was
got another
considered
one.
a darker album for her, like a more sort of edgier kind of album. Yeah.
So this album itself, Tom, from a lyrical perspective, is a roller coaster. You have this song about meeting a dude and being concerned about him not being able to get an erection. And that's completely different to other songs on the album, like the preceding single, Hard, which is about meeting a dude who has no problems getting an erection. So it goes through the whole gamut of not being able to get an erection, getting an erection. So there's all kinds of songs on this album. The video for Hard pays homage to the classic Captain Jack song that I was talking about before. Captain Jack, Rihanna's in the Captain Jack role. She's sort of like a bit of a military person, giving people some training.
Although, as you say, the roles have now been reversed, with the woman in the position of power over the men. However, the wardrobing has not been reversed, meaning that Rihanna spends the whole video in her gruds, standing around fully clothed male soldiers in full tactical battle dress.
Yep, correct.
That's definitely not a metaphor for anything and doesn't need to be explored further.
Certainly does not, no. Exactly. So, look, the video for this song, sorry, that was for the video of Hard. This is this video itself, Rude Boy. It uses an animated backdrop technique. It's very colourful, very bright, very playful. Rihanna wears a series of outfits aimed at enticing the would-be suitors to, quote, get it up, I assume. And there was very little, budget spent on we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, the Lady Gaga song.
Yeah.
Just Dance, you may recall, you said, Tom, Lady Gaga had a lightning bolt glued to her face. The director of that song also directed this song.
Yeah.
And I assume she had a bit more money this time around.
Yeah, no, it's quite a cool sort of stylish video. It's kind of a sort of a bit more like an 80s graphic design vibe. Like you say, there's more sort of visual, 2D stuff going on in the background and, more sort of overlaid colours. I think it's definitely more interesting than, say, some twat on a BMX trying to fonz a chick at the beach that might be in the Caribbean but might not, as previously mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
This, as you said, this is Rihanna's 6th Billboard #1, 6 weeks at the top. Per producer Tor Eric Hermanson, this was probably the first session we did with Esther Dean, who's the Pitch Perfect actress who's written for Nicki Minaj, Mary J. Blige, Britney Spears and others. Rihanna came up with the title. She said she wanted to do a song called Rude Boy and gave that idea to Esther, so I guess it's a 2-word idea. We made this beat with a guy called Rob Swire, who used to be in the electronic group Pendulum, who are Aussie doof legends in the aughts. They're sort of drum and bass guys. I saw them live a few times. This was right when we started experimenting with the combination of trancier EDM sounds and slower hip-hop beats. Rude Boy was one of the earliest examples of those sounds coming together. Rihanna left for an hour or two, came back, and then we played it for her. She was just blown away. "Did you guys just do this?" she said. So, another Taxi Club.
Yep.
She was the one who really fought for that record and knew what it was. I don't think even we knew what it was. There are some records everyone believes in, like, oh, this is a big single, but nobody talked about Rude Boy until the album came out. We were worried Rude Boy wasn't going to make the cut because Rated R was so dark. It's not exactly death metal, but I guess compared to her previous album, Roller Coaster. But to Rihanna's credit, she was the one who wanted to keep it. And she said she liked the West Indian flavour to the beats. I don't know what to say about that. But, yeah, I'd say it's definitely the best song of the year so far.
Oh,
Take this over Owl City, anyway.
Absolutely. How many musical modes does Rihanna work in? Do you know?
Well, so far we've got 2, which is stuff that sounds a lot like Lady Gaga, and now she's moving into that, but it's Rated R.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think we're going to get to talk about, spoiler alert, some more Rihanna later in this episode, and she has another musical mode as well, Tom. She's got a couple more musical modes.
She's discovering them as she goes along.
Definitely right. Lyrical highlights.
Is this song about pegging, Ben?
I was gonna. That was something I was gonna ask you because what. Rude boy, can you get it up? Rude boy, are you big enough? And what comes after that?
I like when you tell me kiss you there, sure.
Yep.
I like when you tell me move it there, question mark. So giddy up, time to get it up. You say you a rude boy, show me what you got now. Come here right now, take it, baby, baby.
Yeah.
Take it, love me.
Yep.
So maybe when she's asking about the size of the thing that the guy's producing, that it is perhaps something that she's got from Adult Shop, and the guy's brought it to the party, and she's not talking about his own equipment, but rather the literal piece of equipment that he's produced.
I feel stupid now, Tom. I've been talking about...
Maybe she's worried that the strap that she wears won't be big enough.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of... I've talked about this at the start, and we've talked about... is the song about Rihanna's romantic partner not being able to get it up? And I feel like an idiot now, Tom, because you're right. It's obviously about Rihanna's strap-on dildo range.
I'm just asking questions.
I think
can be both.
No, it probably is. Yeah, it certainly sounds like.
If it's not, she's missed a trick because she could have just used this song in the ad straight away.
When she's asking the rude boy if he can take it. I think
I like it when you tell me move it there, so forth.
I think we're working in that territory. So it could be a song about erectile dysfunction. It could be a song about Rihanna's penchant for strap-on dildos and dudes taking it, but perhaps we'll never know. Let's get Rihanna on the podcast. We'll reach out to her and we'll find out what she has to say about that. But she's a billionaire. She's got a lot of businesses. She probably doesn't have time to come on the podcast. I'll reach out to her on Twitter and see what we can find out. So, 50 mil for Rihanna. It's a fuckload,
she's
but
up the very top.
tell you what,
She's a beast.
she's got a lot of hits, and we're only just getting started on this shit. I can tell you that.
No, this is,
and this will cost you $7.50. That's about almost as expensive as we've had so far.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that was number one for 2 weeks. Anything else to say about Rihanna?
No. What have we got next?
Best song of the year so far. That one was not this one. No, not for sure. Up next is Train with Hey Soul Sister. Now, Tom, remember when you said you were longing for a guitar? Do you take that back, or you're still sort of hanging on to that?
Well, at this point in the year, no. I'm
No,
not
okay.
longing for a guitar, especially after I hear this shit. But,
Well, that's sort of a fake question, as we'll find out later on, because guitar used in this song. Well, I don't want to spoil it. We'll get to that in a minute. But look,
technically.
I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong, Tom.
Okay.
It doesn't happen often, but when I am wrong, I am prepared to say, yes, I made a mistake. I made an error. I said something that, in hindsight, was incorrect at the time, and I'm prepared to take that back. So, listeners, when I first heard Drops of Jupiter, I thought to myself, this sucks shit. But I'll never have to hear anything as bad as this ever again. But I'm also confident I'll never have to hear this band perform again. But here we are, about a decade later, and Train are back with Hey Soul Sister, and I was indeed wrong.
Yeah.
I did have to hear them again, and yes, I did have to hear something as bad, if not worse, than Drops of Jupiter.
Yeah, Train are still around now.
Yeah.
Now. Isn't it amazing, Ben? You know, bands like Joy Division, The Smiths, Nirvana, you know, they can exist for the space of only a handful of years.
Yep.
You know, 3 years in some cases, yet irrevocably change the musical landscape. And on the other hand, bands like Train can cash checks for 3 decades, leaving the same lasting imprint as a burnt CD of a Led Zeppelin cover album just flung into the Grand Canyon. You know,
Correct.
and there you are. Just, I couldn't believe that. I mean, I remembered vaguely, they had one song, and then they had that other song. And it was, hang on, that was 7 years before.
Yeah.
And then 15 years before. And then they're still around now. Like, man.
Still giving it real. Look, Train formed in 1993, Tom, if you want to know the history of Train.
Sure.
At the heart of grunge. The very height of the grunge sort of era.
sure.
So, credit where credit's due. I do respect the fact that they didn't just jump on a happening trend at the time. They could have easily have done that. They didn't do that. They forged ahead in their own puss rock style from the very beginning. So, you know, respect to that.
Puss Rock was really not having a moment in 93. It's having a pretty big fucking moment again. But,
Yeah.
You know.
Look, the best part of this song, and look, admittedly, Tom, it's an extremely low bar to get over, is that they rhyme Hey Soul Sister with Is That Mr. Mister on the stereo. So they rhyme Soul Sister with Mr. Mister, and the reason that's the best part is it makes me think of the Mr. Mister track Broken Wings.
Yes.
Take these broken wings, which is a significantly better song than this.
It's
now,
far, far better song
yeah,
than
it's
this.
significantly better. It's great. Go do yourself a favour, listen to that Mr. Mister track. The worst part, look, this goes
sure?
without well. Stick with me, Tom. The worst part is that the whole song is done on a ukulele, an instrument solely the domain of shirtless dudes with shit tattoos and no self-awareness in parks, trying to impress chicks but falling shorter than Kanye's shot at the presidency.
Yeah, and by the way, that ukulele part was written and played by a guy called Espen Lind. He's not even in the band.
Jeez.
The fucking hook for this song wasn't even written by the band. Even the ukulele player is too good for this arse custard group.
Weak.
Fucking train yourself to suck
Yeah.
less shit, why don't you?
And look, musically this is fucking garbage, but also from a lyrical perspective, and you're obviously going to do some lyrical highlights later, Tom,
please.
but train singer Pat Monahan wrote this one about the Burning Man festival
Yep.
without having actually attended the festival. So this
Christ.
isn't Woodstock. This isn't something that's on, once like Woodstock, and it's I missed Woodstock.
Yeah, it's
but
not
I've
a
written
historical
song. No,
event that
it's
you
on
might
every
imagine
year.
yourself
It's
at,
on
yeah.
every fucking year. He could have gone whenever he wanted to, but he didn't. And I assume that he chose not to go because Train were never invited to perform there. So were Train invited to Woodstock 99, which, the best Woodstock in my opinion? Were they invited to the Basin Concert 99? They could have performed between Christina Nu and the Mavises, but they didn't. So
I'm calling it, Ben. Train are officially too shit for the Basin concert.
yeah, I'm saying.
I'm not saying the Launceston City Council wouldn't let them play, but I am definitely saying they would get VB cans filled with piss thrown at them at the Basin concert.
That goes without saying. I mean, why in the living shit would you write about something you haven't been to when you could go to
It's
it?
fucking mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good lord.
So, I mean, I do understand that sort of people taking a sort of historical perspective and saying, I'm going to write a song or a film about, as you said, a historical event. But, I don't go, I've never ever been to Coachella. I'm going to write a song about what it must be like to go. Just fucking go there. Just go and do it. So,
Exactly.
writing a song about a music festival you've never been to seems to be what I would consider an unsound idea. Mm-hmm. And speaking of unsound ideas, in 2016, Train released Train Does Led Zeppelin 2, in which Train, the band that brought us Drops of Jupiter, decided to have a stab at A Whole Lot of Love and the other 8 tracks that make up that album. Do you think there's a person on the planet that thought, finally, I've always wanted to know what Led Zeppelin 2 would have sounded like if recorded by Train? I highly doubt anyone alive would want to do that. I mean, we're not talking about some sort of obscure album. They've recorded an album which, historically, Led Zeppelin were a very big, if not the biggest band at that time in the late 60s, early 70s. It's one of their iconic albums. Whole Lot of Love's an iconic song. So I think having a go at that when you're the Drops of Jupiter guys, I mean, fuck, that seems like pretty poorly thought out.
Even from the perspective of a listener, like, if you want to hear a bunch of sketchy Led Zeppelin covers, you could just buy a fucking $5 discount CD copy of Encomium if you want to hear 4 Non-Blondes do Misty Mountain
That's
Hop.
true, yeah.
And even then, you get 10 different sketchy versions instead of 10 ones by the same Dropkicks who did Drops of Jupiter.
I mean, this band's pretty bland, so I can't imagine that they're
they're
using
not
any
gonna
creative sort of...
tearing the roof off
No.
Zucker.
Exactly. So look, but here's what's happened, and here's one thing that I guess... I'm not going to say credit where credit's due, but what they've done is Train have said, we've taken this classic album, we're going to do it in its entirety, but we're going to do it for charity. So that's what they've declared. So that way, if anyone says that's fucking garbage, which I'm sure many people did, Train can respond, it's for a good cause, and then that sort of gives them a pass. It's like, okay, they did it. It's sort of how Bob Geldof has got away with recording some of the worst music known to man for, over the past couple of decades. But it's for the kids of Africa. Don't worry about it. I can't really, get excited about this song, this album, too much, that Led Zeppelin thing, but I can't wait to hear Nirvana redone by Machine Gun Kelly for monkeypox. Never mind. Hopefully he does that. That'd be great.
Well, look, I think we need to look into a preemptive Kickstarter app.
Yeah.
Where whenever we hear about, say, Hinder using Amnesty International as a front for an upcoming Janis Joplin cover album, we can quickly raise the equivalent amount in projected sales, say $18.50 in this case, and simply pay the band not to make it in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
It might be the only thing standing between the world and another Do They Know It's Christmas bin. And if that inadvertently makes us international heroes, then that's a price I'm willing to pay.
Yeah. Look, I do remember that, James Blunt has got a lot of shit over the years for, beautiful, it's true. But I think he's sort of come to terms with the fact that, people sort of give him a bit of shit and the song's not the best. But I do remember last year, I think, people were raising a lot of money during COVID times and for various causes. And he did come out on Twitter and say, look, I'm prepared to, take money for charity to not reform or not to, play music. So
he's
so that was
like
funny.
Darren Hayes. He's someone whose music I don't like at all, but who is quite funny on Twitter and seems to entertain themselves just by idly ping-ponging back at people who give them shit for sucking on Twitter.
And self-aware enough to sort of be like, a lot of people don't like the music, but it's fine. I can,
not
still...
angrily, just like, it just gives me a never-ending excuse to just have a go at people for saying shit about me, but
So it's much like that. He's prepared to say, give me money for charity and I won't perform anymore.
Exactly.
And I think that's the same thing with this Train thing. If someone had have been able to raise the money to say Train, just fucking don't do a Led Zeppelin tribute album.
Yeah.
They would have done that. So, yeah. Anyway, what can you tell me about the lyrics to this? Apart from the Mr. bit.
The way you can cut a rug, watching you's the only drug I need. So gangster, I'm so thug, you're the only one I'm dreaming of, you see. I can be myself now, finally. In fact, there's nothing I can't be. I want the world to see you be with me. So we've got a teetotaling white guy who calls himself a thug, can't dance, has a self-confessed total absence of personality, and is only into you because of how your public appearance makes him look by proxy. Ladies,
Yeah.
lead singer of Train.
Yeah.
Boop, boop. He's out there. Cleo Bachelor of the Year.
This racked up 6 million downloads, Tom,
Jesus
and was the highest selling
effing
single of
Christ.
2010.
Yeah, it was a massive hit. Same as the other fucking song.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
The Mr. bit, I like that. It's good.
I must admit, I never realised that's what he was saying. I just thought he was saying Mr. twice because he was a dickhead. But
Yeah.
it makes
Mr.
complete
Mr.
sense.
playing on the
It's
radio.
just a weird reference to drop. I mean, Mr. are probably, I would say, B-tier classic
Yep.
rock at their highest. Really.
Well, I think he went. He the year that he didn't go to Burning Man, which was every year. I believe Mr. were headlining one of those times he didn't go. So he probably
should
remembered
have,
that.
taken those broken
He
wings
probably
to
remembered
the
not.
airport
I
and
think he
flown
remembered not
in.
watching them and went, "Oh, okay, I'll have to get Mr. in there because I didn't see them because I wasn't there." But if I was there, that's what would have happened. Or in his imaginary Burning Man experience, he saw
Maybe he
Mr.
just
Mr.
ate an extra large fucking burrito and went home, had
Yeah.
some cheesy fries, went home and wrote it in half an hour.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I think feisty potatoes. It was
Right,
Tom.
let's
But yeah.
move on to something a bit
15
more
million
inspired.
for Train, 15 mil and $1.50 for that. Yes, $1.50, 4 weeks. Moving on next, something way more expired. It's Brian McFadden featuring Kevin Rudolph. Just Say So.
Jesus.
If you've ever wanted to hear one of the members of Westlife using auto-tune dialed all the way up to the completely fucked setting, then you're in luck. It is better than the duet he did with Delta from a couple of years ago, but Tom, admittedly, that is faint
That
praise.
sure is. That was...
Now, the video for the song was shot in the Ivy nightclub in Sydney, so the next time you're in Sydney, if you live in Sydney, then you're there now. Or if you're other parts of Australia or the world, next time you travel to Sydney, make sure you go to the Ivy nightclub. Make sure you recreate this video with your friends and upload it to TikTok. I think that's what people do these days.
Yeah.
The video was done in one shot and lip-synced backwards to allow Brian to still be in sync while the video is moving in reverse.
Yes.
Does that take talent? I assume so.
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's not bad. It would be slightly more impressive if it hadn't already been done by Chibo Matto, Good Shirt, God Lives Underwater, The Far Side, Coldplay, Greg Laswell, Bush, a bunch of other people, and Danny Wilson in 1989.
Yeah,
But yeah, otherwise, it's a very strong concept.
not the first time that they've done the backward ad-libbing, but yeah, look, this features Kevin Rudolph. Look, we've spoken a bit about Brian McFadden before when he's done that Delta duet, which was dog shit. But Kevin Rudolph, I've never heard of him before. I don't really know who this guy is, but did a bit of Googling. And it turns out in 2012 he did release a track called Champions featuring Limp Bizkit, Birdman and Lil Wayne, which I assume is very, very good. I hope he wasn't referring to himself and his co-performers as, quote, the champions, because he may have been overstating it somewhere.
Don't worry, Ben, because he certainly was, my friend.
Was he?
This is 100% about 4 champions among men. I watched the whole thing in an attempt to avoid listening to Brian McFadden
Yep.
again, and was jazzed to see Fred Durst kick off verse 1 of the track with some dope rhymes showing how far he's come since the early days of rap metal. Always had big hopes as a kid, just a rotten tomato building shit out of Lego.
He is a lyrical genius. Yeah.
I can understand what Kevin, Fred and Birdman are doing here. You know, the school trip to Elmo's Playland was cancelled. But Lil Wayne's a bit harder to explain. The indoor sunglasses and fluffy-eared snowboarding hat suggest that old Dr. Robitussin might have something to do with it. Oh, and it's still way better than this song, as if I needed to tell you.
No, of course it's way better than this song. How many face tats did Lil Wayne have at this stage? Was he knee deep or was he still in the early stages?
If you include the sunglasses and the hat, there's about about his mouth and chin area, it remains tatless. The rest of
Tat-free.
it's pretty much 100% tats.
Yeah, good on him. Enjoy that. So, look, this song's pretty bad. So much auto-tune on this to the point that it's quite annoying.
Yeah.
That's the only bit of the song you sort of remember. Like, they've dialed the auto-tune up to such an extreme. It's like,
weird.
oh, shit, it's like ear-piercingly bizarre because the rest of the song itself is kind of bland.
It's kind of like, what's her name? Sorry. Idol contestant from a few years back that we were talking about with her early song. The one from the Sapphires.
Oh, Jessica Malboy.
Yeah, like, the one thing about her, really, it's not songwriting talent or anything, is that she can actually sing a bit in a traditional sort of way.
Yeah.
As can Brian and Delta. They have kind of, decent pop voices. And instead, just because it's fashionable at this time, they just auto-tune the living fuck out of them.
Yep.
So you're essentially making it sound like, to anyone who's hearing Brian McFadden for the first time, that he can't sing.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. The one thing he could actually do
Yep.
was sing a bit, and he fucked his voice to the point using a machine that was literally invented to help people who can't sing.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fuck's sake.
Yeah, look, it's not the best, but McFadden followed this up with the date rape anthem, Just the Way You Are, Drunk at the Bar, Tom, which featured such sublime lyrics as, can't wait to get you home so I can do some damage. Can't wait to get you home so I can take advantage.
Wow.
Now, McFadden tried to clear this up by telling the Daily Mirror, quote, I'm shocked at these ridiculous accusations about my new song. For the record, I wrote the song about how I love it when Delta has a drink, which is very rarely, and she's dancing. So just to be clear, this isn't a song about raping women in general. It's a song about raping Delta Goodrem. So thank you, Brian, for clearing that up. From what I could ascertain from his explanation, it seems like that's the way that he rolls.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I believe that in the legal system, this has since become known as the Robin Thicke defence.
Okay, yeah.
Last week, I sent out a tweet telling Miley Cyrus that I was going to murder her at her house where she lives. But fortunately, I was able to explain that I was merely talking to my new boyfriend, who just happens to also be called Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
Or Cyrus the Virus, as I call him, due to his love of the film Con Air and recent HIV diagnosis. It's a little joke we have.
Yeah.
It's one of those little couples jokes that you have. But yeah, that was one Robin Thicke was accused of when they said what Blurred Lines is about,
Yeah.
Boning drunk chicks. He was like, no, it's about boning my drunk wife. And
Yeah.
like, or partner. Like, okay.
Yeah, so you're right.
Because she doesn't appear in the video, it just appears to be random naked women that you're planning to bone. Anyway.
Yeah, look, I'm glad that he explained that because the lyrics, can't wait to take you home, do some damage, can't wait to take you home and take advantage. I think, out of context, they do seem quite sketchy.
Even in context, that's really
they
sketchy
seem
as fuck.
quite sketchy.
It's also a
so-
sketchy as fuck name for a song.
Yeah, drunk at the bar. So look, anyway, he followed up on Twitter. Yes, it's a dumb lyric and a dumb beat. When did I ever claim to be John Lennon? So it's good to see he's acknowledging how fucking stupid his own music is. So good stuff. What are the lyrics to this one?
If you're going to leave me, don't hesitate, don't believe me, just say so. No worries, Brian. Fuck off!
Yeah.
Please get off the pop charts so I never have to hear you again. God almighty, I never thought I would have to hear so many songs by the second best ex-member of Westlife.
Yeah, that's
Fuck's
true.
sake. Ugh.
He's only got 130,000 Spotify listeners, which is probably about right because
I
his
can't believe he
material's
had
terrible.
two number ones.
Yeah.
I mean, Australia has fairly shit taste in music, but I wasn't aware that Westlife had made such a big bloody imprint. I mean, we haven't even had a Ronan Keating song on here yet.
I
And he
assume
was the
it-
one who was actually on TV and stuff.
I
like that.
gather it's because of his connection with Delta, who's such a big star in
Yes,
Australia.
so he would have had a lot
imagine
of
so.
tabloid bump up. He would have got the old Justin Timberlake bump from back in the day.
Exactly right. So I think
That's a fair
they
point.
broke up though. They've split up. Those guys. They ultimately split up,
It's
and
a shame.
I assume that.
Love that burned that bright couldn't last.
Oh, exactly right. I don't know if he's in prison now. Whether Delta had to testify against him in court or anything. I don't really know, but I haven't looked into it. Anyway, so 130k for him. Kevin Rudolph, who I've never fucking heard of, has 1.3 million. He's got 10 times Brian McFadden. So there you go.
Well, I tell you what, say what you like about Kevin Rudolph, but if Brian McFadden rung up Fred Durst,
Yep.
Lil Wayne, and Radio Birdman, I doubt any of them would be returning his calls. So at least he's got that pull.
And in the Discogs category, Tom, a first for the podcast, none for sale.
Huh.
So there you go.
No shit. I wonder if that means it was never fucking.
I think that there
Actually
was a
physical.
CD single
Okay.
on Discogs, but at present, there's none for sale.
I'm
so-
assuming they're keeping it inside a locked box like
They
that.
are.
That Wu-Tang record that there was only one copy
Yeah.
of that would sell for $1 million.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
guessing it's
there's
that
one
sort
in that vault in America where they keep all the Library of Congress or whatever. So there'd be a
yeah.
copy there, and they probably sent one to the moon on the last sort of
Sure.
moon mission. There's probably one on Mars or something like that. So
And there'd be one in the safe under Mowbray cash converters as well.
yeah,
where
there'd definitely be one there.
there's one record of every song ever made.
All right, up next, 10th of May for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 6 weeks for this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's Usher featuring Will.i.am, OMG.
They do
So,
love a fucking
they do.
acronym, don't they?
So here's Usher burning up whatever goodwill he's earned with me and the general public at large by teaming up with Will.i.am on another song heavy on the auto-tune.
Yeah, you don't even need to add that with Will.i.am.
No, sorry,
I
it's
assume
implied,
that
yeah. This is about as annoying as Will.i.am's other material, so at
Yeah.
least he's consistent.
Yeah, it sounds more like a Black Eyed Peas song than an Usher song.
Yeah, it does.
Doesn't it?
Usher appears to be flying in one part of the music video, which I guess was kind of cool. That's one. I was trying to look for positive.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
shitting on Will.i.am for 2 months, so I thought, let's try and look for some positives in this song. Let's look at the good
Yeah.
stuff. Watch the music video. Usher looked like he was flying for a bit. The director, Anthony Mandela's inspiration was Max Headroom, an
Yes.
animated science fiction character from the 80s, British TV. The original idea came from Max Headroom. That's where it was, the TV flickering on, and there's this character. We just wanted to bring it up to date.
Yep.
Now, we've talked a little bit about Max Headroom before, I think, in this podcast very briefly. If you don't know, he was purportedly the first ever computer-generated television host. That
Yep.
was the premise. However, given it was the 80s and the technology clearly wasn't there yet, it turns out it was just a dude wearing prosthetic makeup, contact lenses, a plastic molded suit, sitting in front of the blue screen. They did a lot of fast cut editing to make it look like he was all like and did like effects on his voice. So they made him look like he was a computer, but he was
Yeah.
just a dude acting like that. So anyway, he did a Coke ad and a few other things like that. I think he had a TV show, etc. But it looks like not only some listeners on the podcast might not know who Max Headroom is. Turns out that the director of this music video also had no fucking idea who Max Headroom was, because when I watched this music video, it in no way invoked the image or even the spirit of Max
No,
Headroom. Is that correct?
it doesn't.
Did you watch... If you hadn't have read that quote, would you be like, Max Headroom?
No.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Max Headroom, as you say, he has a fun history. He was a joke meta character from a UK sci-fi TV movie, who then got turned into a UK chat show host parody, as you said, using a guy in a mask pretending to be CGI. Back before that was actually even possible. There was no way you could have done a face like that back then. Then he got used in a series of American TV ads, and then they made another sci-fi TV series in the US. But more interestingly, related to this song, he was also portrayed by Eminem in one of Eminem's earlier videos in a way that does actually look like Max Headroom, which you would get. Plus, Eminem's character in those videos is much closer to a smart-ass Max Headroom media type figure than whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. But just as a side note, my favourite bit of Max Headroom thing is, have you heard of the Max Headroom signal hijacking?
I have, Tom, yeah.
Yeah. Well, one night in 1987, the television broadcast of two stations in Chicago were hijacked by a video of an unidentified person wearing a Max Headroom mask and costume, accompanied by distorted audio and a corrugated iron panel swivelling in the background to mimic the geometric background effect they used in his real videos. The second incident occurred around 2 hours after the first, during a broadcast of Doctor Who, and lasted for about 90 seconds. The masked person spoke throughout this intrusion and made references to Coca-Cola, the TV cartoon Clutch Cargo, and the WGN anchor of the time. The video ended with the person's exposed buttocks being spanked by a woman with a fly swatter before normal programming resumed. The best part is that despite an FCC investigation and decades of speculation, the culprits were never caught and have not been positively identified.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, Ben, but especially after the sci-fi, binges we went through during lockdown, if the sci-fi movies from the 80s and 90s were to be believed, I was promised that TV shows were constantly going to be interrupted by computer hackers, pirate station pranksters, Kurt Russell doing illegal car yard commercials with topless chicks, or all-channel reports of imminent cybernetic invasion, These days I feel like whole months go by when nothing pops up to tell me that, say, an artificial intelligence is trying to take over Zimbabwe with flying robots, even when I'm really, really hoping that it will, like halfway through any Black Eyed Peas video, when I'm just desperate for a fucking, guy in a Max Headroom mask to pop up and start rambling incoherently for 90 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, no one's hacked into my TV for some time, I think, Tom. I think it's safe to say that hackers at large are probably interested in hacking into mainframes, I think, after sort of watching the film Hackers, rather than like trying to do a pirate TV channel.
The first hacking he does in the film Hackers, having been released from prison, I believe, is to hack into a TV station.
That's true.
In order to... Oh, man.
I think if anyone out there has the skill set, any young people, hack into Southern Cross Nightly News.
For the love of God, please.
Hack into something and just throw on... It doesn't have to be a Max Headroom mask. Throw something on... something.
Can you imagine the worldwide furor that would happen if somebody could take over YouTube for 30 seconds tomorrow and just broadcast anything on any screen currently displaying YouTube?
No matter what you were watching on YouTube, someone hacked in it. Yeah, exactly.
It just appeared.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah, for sure. So, that's the Max Headroom story.
What was this bullshit? Oh, will.i.am.
Somehow, well, the director I don't. Maybe when I was watching the music video, I turned away for 5 seconds and missed it because I watched the music video and couldn't fucking see anything. So I don't know. Anyway, will.i.am himself, he gave us a peek behind the wizard's curtain, so to speak, Tom, when he broke down his hit-making strategy for MTV. Quote, "We call it A-being. Anything you make, there's nothing new under the sun. So there's always an A and a B to whatever your approach. If you want to make a song be a number one smash, you play a Michael Jackson song while you make it." So it sounds like to me, Tom, that will.i.am is effectively just ripping off another artist. He's listening to the Michael Jackson song and then trying to make a song that sounds as close to that as possible to be a hit. It's A-being, you see. It's not copyright infringement. It's none of that. So whenever you're trying to do anything in life, look at your inspiration, copy it as close as possible, but make just a few subtle changes so it's your own work. A-being. There you go.
Yes. Leaving aside the fact that Trump style, he's tried to deflect from an accusation by openly confessing to the exact thing he was being accused of in the first place, in this case plagiarism, it does force one to ask the question, then, what the fuck was he listening to during his last 3 albums?
Jesus,
White goods being crushed for landfill? A pigeon with irritable bowel syndrome? Because I'm legitimately struggling to think of another professional artist making music this bad who he could have been copying from.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck was he listening to in the background? It's like his own music by accident or something? Is he taking so much ecstasy that he can't remember his first few albums? Yeah. Oh man, this is dope. Should copy this shit. Fuck me.
I think you're right. I think he was A-being, as you said, white goods being dropped into an ocean or something. And then you're right, he just A-be'd his own previous material.
He's also accidentally done a second cell phone, which is the title of Andy Warhol's autobiography was From A to B and Back Again.
Yeah.
The joke being that his entire approach was about the surface layer of things. That was his whole thing. He didn't
dig any deeper.
Deliberately didn't go any deeper.
No.
So there's no A-B metaphor he's here. He's just using A and B to confess things. So he's saying he's ignoring the entire rest of the alphabet. He's not saying, there's someone started at A and you're at Z, so, you can start at Z and listen to A. He's saying, no, we want B, the closest letter in the alphabet to A, and avoid any further innovation that may have been made in that area. We're just going to try and come as... oh, man. Fucking hell. Good Lord.
Yeah. But what I will say, Tom, is honey got a booty like pow, pow, pow. Honey got some boobies like wow, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lyric
Yep.
from this song. What other pieces of shit are there from
That's
him?
it covered.
Yep.
And that's still better than Boom Boom Pow from last year.
Yep.
Insanely, it's somehow better than that.
Honey got some boobies like wow, oh, wow.
Good Lord. To hear an
Jesus
adult
Christ.
man still calling women's tits boobies
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. 22 mil for Usher, 9 mil for Will.i.am. This will cost you $3.50. Yeah,
God almighty.
sorry, don't have a lot
How
more
much
to say
for
about
Usher?
that. 22 million.
Oh, good. At least he's getting nearly 3 times as much as Usher, as Will.i.am. At least that's
Exactly.
something. Although Will.i.am has the Black Eyed Peas as well. Fuck. All right, quickly, let's move on. Jesus, Harold Christ.
All right, moving on next, 21 June for 4 weeks. It is Katy Perry featuring Snoop Dogg, California Girls.
Yeah, this really cemented her, didn't it? After fucking I Kissed a Girl.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
This was like, oh, okay, she's not going to be
Not just a one-hit wonder, yeah, exactly. So look,
Whether
Katy Perry...
you think that's good or not, but yeah.
Yeah, but as you said, she's moved on, she's progressed, moved on from that sort of, I guess some might say, childish, kind of fake lesbian action of I Kissed a Girl, with this significantly more mature work, as evidenced by the whipped cream cannons mounted on her cans in the music video. So, credit where credit's due. They didn't do a beach scene, sort of California whack-ass music video. They went with like a Candyland type thing. And as I mentioned at the top, this does feature whipped cream cans that she just sticks on her tits and just sprays whipped cream out.
Yes.
So it's classier than how I've described it though, Tom. That might sound not so
Definitely.
classy, but it is significantly classier than that.
You're right. I mean, ironically, this is a song in which she repeatedly describes a specific outfit in the chorus, which is set, as you say, in a specific place. But instead of working from that outfit and location, director Will Cotton has decided to go with, as you say, this insane sort of Candyland thing leading up to the pop video's first lactation climax. You know, I mean, the whole thing is visually effective, tacky and slightly sickening, so it suits the song really well. And I mean, that's a joke, but I do mean that sincerely. It really does suit the song quite well, whether you hate it or not.
Yeah.
Much like the song and the rest of Perry's career, it manages to be highly suggestive on paper, like if you described it to someone, and yet in actuality somehow weirdly sterile and inert. You know? I can never quite tell if this is deliberate with her. Like, if she's trying not to alienate the parents of the tweens who make up half her audience, or if she's just not very good at being actually sexy, you know, whether it's just not part of her personality. Like, this video is male-gazy as fuck. It's as male-gazy as anything from Whitesnake, you know, or Motley Crue. The whole song is about how hot she is. She's almost nude in it. And yet it never...
She is nude in one part, I think, on the cloud.
And yet it never manages to feel even half as sexy as any of those trashy techno videos I mentioned last episode.
No.
Or even as trashy as the average Kesha video.
That's true.
I mean, what do you reckon? Like, is she inherently sort of artificial, or is she just willing to let other people dictate her entire shtick so much that it just never seems like it's her or anything real, you know?
I've got a theory, Tom, and Kesha, who we'll discuss later on in this episode, she is an individual that I think she seems genuinely a bit wacky, Kesha.
Yeah.
You know, she seems a bit, you know, like sort of someone that's a bit sort of like, oh, you know, a bit hippie-ish and a bit sort of... Some of the interviews I've watched of her, it's sort of like, okay, she seems... She's not sort of a boring pop star. You know, you can love her music or dislike it, but she seems a bit
She seems
odd.
like she's lived some of the things she's actually talking about, even
Katy
if she's not
Perry,
very good at communicating them. Yeah.
Katy Perry's wacky persona, I think, was dreamed up by a marketing department.
Yes.
She seems
I
very
think you're
like,
right.
look how quirky I am, but it seems pretty fake as
I'm
hell.
going to wear this kind of thing for 3 years and then I'll change to whatever they tell me to wear next.
You're right. Like, none of this... those... I mean,
It's
obviously...
it's the same with I Kissed a Girl. Like, it's
It's not sexy. None of this is sexy. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
even though it sounds, if you described it to someone, it sounds like it would at least be kind of trashy and sexy, but it just doesn't even really succeed at that. It's weird.
No, it's a garbage dump. Look, but what I like about this, Tom, Katy Perry versus it's not a versus, it's a featuring. I'm thinking it's a versus. Not. What I like about this, Tom, is I love an organic collaboration. And look, there's nothing worse than when you see a collaboration and you think to yourself, this is just the brainchild of, an out of touch record exec. They're looking at some old person and said, oh, look, for you to appeal to the youth, we're going to have to get an up and coming artist to come and do a guest track on your song, or vice versa. There'll be a young person that's sort of up and coming, and it's like, well, let's get an established artist in.
Yeah.
The two don't really gel together, but they're on the same record label, so it's like, let's get you guys together and do that. I really hate that sort of fake sort of collaboration. It's like, how do these people even know each other? Whereas, this is as organic as it gets for me.
Yeah.
Katy Perry and Snoop Dogg, where she says, quote, I was on Wikipedia and Wikipediaing the original West Coast people and thinking to myself, who's still relevant? Who's the best? Who's the cherry on top for this? And it was obvious that it was Snoop. Doesn't get any more organic for me than jumping onto Wikipedia and searching for someone and saying, who would be good for this? What this sounds like to me is someone said to Katy, you're doing the song California Girls. It's, about you're from California. It's all California. So why don't we get a West Coast, let's get a Californian rapper in to do a rap bit in there to sort of, just sort of tie it all together. And Katie's like, oh, yes, one of the rappers that you have, I will have to get back to you about who would be the best person to have on the track. Excuse me for one moment while I go to my dressing room. And then she quickly gets her phone out, goes to Google, and she's typing in West Coast rappers because she doesn't fucking know anyone. It's like, oh, how about the Tupac guy on the California Love Song? He's dead. What about Eazy-E? He sounds like a good fellow. Dead. Oh, Snoop Dogg, he's alive. Let's get that guy. It seems pretty much like she has no fucking idea who this dude is until she hit on Wikipedia 3 seconds after someone suggested it. So
Yeah, I think you're right. But I also do like to imagine a parallel world where the Katy Perry song California Girls inadvertently reignites the East Coast, West Coast rap beef that led to the death of Biggie Smalls and Tupac, culminating in a gruesome whipped cream tit cannon drive-by outside Brigitte's nightclub in West Hollywood that leaves 17 people severely moistened.
Yeah, agreed.
Would be, I think Tupac looking down from heaven would be proud to see that happen. Unfortunately, it was not to be.
Yeah, it's sort of it's one of those things.
Although,
where,
admittedly, you do get to see Snoop Dogg one time, the writer of no less than 4 different songs about gangbanging in the both sexual and drive-by shooting terms, stick the top of his head through clouds made of fake fucking whipped cotton candy.
Yep.
So, swings and roundabouts.
I know, absolutely. It's good to see him involved in the music video.
I wonder how many 3 papers he went through before that seemed like a fucking good idea. Want me to stick my head through what?
I did read that apparently when he came into the studio to record his part, he was just smoking a lot of blunts, and I think Katie said we all got, quote, contact high, so...
It wouldn't go actually high with her, would it? That'd be too fucking interesting.
Yeah, exactly right. So, it is surprising, I don't know, these collaborations, fucking sort of bizarre. But anyway, look, I think with what you've got to think about is that with Snoop, as long as the price is right, I'm sure he'd come along.
Oh, 100%. He's doing fucking menu log ads on TV right now.
So, indeed. Look, musically, this sort of bears a strong resemblance to Kesha's TikTok, which is also a Dr. Luke production. It sounds almost exactly the same. So,
again, that's not a theme that I'm sure will reappear later on this year.
According to Perry, this ode to fun in the sun is the answer to Jay-Z's tribute to the Empire State of Mind.
Yes, with Perry's typical originality, the song was going to be called California Girls, spelt correctly. The spelling was changed to California Girls with a U after the passing of Big Star member Alex Chilton as a nod to their song September Girls, which is spelt wrong for some other reason that is not evident in the song. So just to tally up here, she's been inspired to write a song by a rap beef from a decade ago that she had nothing to do with, borrowed a rapper from that same era that she'd never heard of, nicked the exact title and subject from someone else's song about the same thing for the second time in 2 years.
Yep.
Then, at the last minute, to avoid a lawsuit, changed the spelling to copy the title of another song.
Good. Yep.
I mean, clearly this is why she married Russell Brand, I'm thinking. She was running out of shit in her own country to be inspired by. She needed to start getting some shit from the UK, Madonna style, you know.
Yep. They were married at this point, I think, or roughly around this time. Couldn't last though, could it?
Yes, bizarre.
The were the tit whipped cream cannons, was that original or was that stolen from somewhere as well? Don't know.
I don't know. I remember seeing an interview of her around this time. I think it's a low-key thing, but I think it says a lot about it. She was on Graham Norton at this time. She was just hooked up with Russell Brand, so that was a big tabloid thing. She's in the UK where that show is filmed. She goes on there and she's wearing a sprayed on like PVC skin tight sort of red and white candy striped mini dress thing, which was the look of this stuff. This is what she was wearing at the time. It's being all chipper and friendly and stuff. But also, so on one foot she's got a stiletto, and on the other one she's got the whole boot of shame. Like she's got a full broken leg in a cast and something. Like she'd broken her leg on a beach filming some video or something like that. And yet she's still there, probably, had a few Valiums backstage. But also, you're allowed to say, I broke my leg, I don't want to do this music video. She's already famous. She's got, she doesn't need to be on this show in another channel. But that's just seems to be what she's like. She's just this driven pop person who comes across as this kind of, chipper, normal-seeming person. But you don't go on a talk show in a fucking skin-tight, vacuum-sealed fucking miniskirt with a broken leg in another country.
You can just wear regular clothes and just be like, I broke my leg.
To do dumb jokes about boning your boyfriend with some randos, unless you have this extreme desire to be in this public eye,
Now, I've suggested that her wacky personal persona was created by a marketing department. Is there any chance that her marriage to Russell Brand was also dreamed up by some sort of PR firm? Because it seems too bizarre to even... At the time, I thought that was completely bizarre. And in hindsight, I'm like, how in the living shit did this happen?
It seems weird, but sometimes a relationship can exist in two modes. You've got your PG... club-friendly mode, and then you've got your harder, was it? Faux bass
faux
heavy,
crass.
Faux crass
Club
bass
thumper.
heavy thumpers,
She does operate in two modes, I think you're right. So
I'm saying she was the PG mode and he was the bass heavy club thumper mode.
Fair enough.
That's what it's just such a good metaphor, I can't let it go.
Lyrics, what do you got?
Written by Perry, Bonnie McKee, Max Martin.
Oh, Max.
And Dr. Luke
He's
again.
back.
Sex on the beach. We don't mind sand in our stilettos. We freak in my Jeep. Snoop Doggy Dog on the stereo. Katy Perry, or should I say Katie Hudson, as she's actually called, was an intensely career-focused Christian artist till she was like 20, and an intensely career-focused A-list pop star every day since then. Frankly, I do not believe that she has ever had sex on a beach, or in a Jeep, or enjoys getting sand in her stilettos, or listens to Snoop Doggy Dog on the stereo while getting railed in a Jeep, or otherwise. I hate to say it, Ben, really, it gives me no pleasure, but sometimes I even wonder if she really can shoot whipped cream out of her tits, or whether that was just faked. I mean, it's...
I question that too, Tom.
They say never meet your heroes, even if they might cover you with whipped cream shot out of their tits.
Yeah, I question the authenticity of that as well. I completely agree. So, but look, she'll do some more food-based work later on. I think I mentioned Bon Appetit a couple of episodes ago, where she talks about the lyrics involve her getting eaten out by the Migos. So it's sort of, which is good stuff. So, up next... no. Before I do that, 45 million listeners for Katy Perry.
Wow, that's close. She's not up to Rihanna,
No, 22 mil for Snoop Dogg, and this will cost you $4.40. So there you go. Cool, all right.
What's up next then?
Up next is Eminem featuring Rihanna. There you go. Love the Way You Lie. Now, Tom, this is Eminem's puss rock phase. And by that I mean every hard rock band eventually starts releasing weak as piss soft rock.
It does seem to be a phase. I mean, to be fair, a lot of bands simply skip the first part and start train style at post-rock stage and never go any higher. But,
Exhibit A,
fair point.
Bon Jovi,
Yep.
Bad Medicine makes you want to punch a hole in the wall, hard as nails. Only a few short years from that, they're doing Always. Is that the one with Felicity in the music video, I think? Which is fucking weird as hell. Weak as fuck. Well, this is the rap equivalent of that, going from, that sort of edgy, harder, sort of shitting on celebrity rap type thing to this. It's weak. It's sort of a weaky, sort of piss weak, soft rap bullshit.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
I don't hate this one, but I think the bit that doesn't work that connect up with what you're talking about is that it's kind of it's sort of half of it, like you say, half of it sounds like rap and half of it sounds like a weird soft rock kind of thing, jam, and it doesn't really. Yeah, I feel like that's not his tone. I don't think that works with his shit very well.
Well, he's attached himself to one of the biggest stars at the time.
Yeah,
so
totally.
He's selected that. The song itself, I think, looking at some of the background of this, I guess it's about toxic relationships, domestic abuse, I guess, between Eminem and his own partner. So, I guess Rihanna has experienced that herself. I'm not sure whether Eminem pulled a Katy Perry and was just on the Wikipedia page for singers who've been in abusive relationships and just went, once he'd weeded out the dead ones, just got Rihanna. I'm not sure whether that's sort of if Eminem operated in that sort of similar
thing. He didn't go with Tina Turner. That would have.
Well, he could have.
That would
exactly.
have been something really interesting.
So I'm not sure whether that's just a coincidence.
She wouldn't have put up with this puss rock bullshit.
Not at all. Not at all. It's a weird track, as I'm not denying the quality of the Rihanna.
Yeah.
I like that bit. It's rather catchy, but I feel like they've tried to crowbar a sort of Rihanna singy chorus bit just into a standard Eminem track, like sort of two separate songs they've tried to Frankenstein into one thing. That's sort of the vibe I'm getting off this.
I think you're exactly right. That was the exact same complaint I had about his last number one on here, which was We Made You from 2009, featuring a person I can't remember, who I never heard of. It just, as I said then, it feels like he might have learned the wrong lessons from that bloody Dido collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
Just because that was a massive global number one hit for like 2 months or something.
So I just do my regular rap shit and then I get a chick to do like a hook bit in the middle and then there you go. Yeah.
In this case, the hook was written by Skylar Grey, who was inspired, quote, by being in an abusive relationship with the music industry.
Oh.
And that was what attracted Eminem and Rihanna to the song as well, because they've both had experience with the topic, as you say. I'm not sure what that leads us to deduce about UK producer Alex da Kid, but it does make me ask you, Ben, if he's your favourite contemporary production engineer named after a 1986 Sega Master System character.
I'm a big fan of Echo the Dolphin. That production
Echo the
team.
Dolphin,
but
I like Wonder Du Bois in De Monsterland. But then again, I have no domestic violence history, so what would I know about
very true.
producers?
Yeah.
Did you watch the video?
I have. The music video features Megan Fox.
I barely recognised her. She must be so young.
She's young,
yeah.
So it's Megan Fox and that British dude from Lost. If you ever watched Lost.
I don't think I saw that.
And who's done Sweet Fuck All since that TV show ended. He apparently hurt his hand punching a mirror in the music video, so it's very sort of, you're all in on these Eminem clips. But so it's Megan Fox, I guess in the Eminem's wife, what was her name, Kim or something, in that role, and then the guy from Lost in the Eminem role, and they're sort of living in this house, and it's all not great sort of scenario. Exactly. Yeah, the house gets burned down, I think, at the end, so there's that. But Megan Fox, good to see her outside of the Transformers universe, I guess. So, not in a Michael Bay thing. Like if Michael Bay was directing this, she would have been hosed down or something at some point during the video clip. But she didn't have to get wet at all, I think, and was able to just wear her clothes normally. So there you go.
Yeah.
There's a part 2 to this as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Which basically in that part 2, that Rihanna, I think that's on her album. She's the lead artist. The Eminem guest part, he has a very minor role in it. So it's effectively just the Rihanna, the whole song is in the style of the hook bit, basically. So it sort of strips out the non-matching musical bits, has Rihanna doing, I guess probably what the song, if someone had just written a song from, A to B, Will I Am style, all the way through from start to finish, it would just sort of sound like that. So, but look, this one, the Eminem one, was the number 1 for 6 weeks, so what the fuck do I know?
Yeah, no, I may not be Echo to Dolphin, but I think you're spot on. I truly do. I'm glad you pointed that out to me because, like, when even the video clip reflects it, they're both like a better balanced remix of the same song. Like you say, they sort of, it's, instead of going A, B all over the place, it sort of builds with the vocals, and then it kind of, the breakdown is his sort of fiery rapping bit. You know,
works better. That way, I think,
no, I think it does, and the video even works better like that. It's sort of front loaded with tension, and then it explodes into this sort of And also, for what it's worth, I don't know how much digital assistance Rihanna's getting here, but her voice sounds great. Like, it's hard to believe that this is the same person doing a sketchy Britney impression back in, like, Umbrella, Ella. Yeah, like, this really... There was a bit... I was actually starting to think, is she going over someone else's voice? But, yeah, no, it's her.
I think she's just improving as a vocalist over the years.
Yeah, or she's been hiding her light under a bushel. I don't know. Taking vocal lessons. Lyrically, if you had nothing else to say, high off her love, drunk from her hate, it's like I'm huffing paint and I love her, the more I suffer, I suffocate, and right before I'm about to drown, she resuscitates me, she fucking hates me and I love it, wait, where you going, I'm leaving you, no you ain't, come back, we're running right back, here we go again, it's so insane, because when it's going good, it's going great. Now, these lyrics are fucking Shakespeare by the standards of the shit we normally do.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
But they're also pretty tough to read. Did you go through them later on? Like, it's a good thing for Eminem that hip hop still gets a free pass in this area, because later on the song he repeatedly talks about hitting his partner.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
I mean, you could maybe say that it's a character like Shady, but he had a lot of this static in his history with Kim, including a lot of other songs, and it's pretty tough to read, to be honest, especially when the chorus is coming from Rihanna, who has in-depth experience at the other end of the situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all that said, like, if you want believable emotional rawness in a mainstream pop song, here you go, this is what it sounds like sometimes, me complaining about shit sounding artificial all the time and lyrics meaning nothing. I mean, you can't complain about that and then go, oh yeah, but don't talk about this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think you're absolutely right. In terms of it being an actual song where the artists involved in the subject matter, it's real to them and it sort of feels raw.
And
yeah,
the
exactly.
songwriter and stuff was saying,
Yeah, correct. Yeah, exactly. So, it's not an easy subject matter to listen to, the lyrics, because it is just sort of Eminem. But, he's obviously being honest about it and opened up to, I guess, the fact that, maybe he's been a bit of a shitty dude in the past.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
yeah.
But, yeah.
And, I mean, even the production thing you could blame on Alex the Kid.
I do blame it on Alex the Kid. I always have. So.
That's right.
52
poor
mil.
Version of Wonder Du Bois.
He was, exactly. 52 mil for Eminem, 50 million for Rihanna. That's fucking 100 mil between them on Spotify. $6.06.
Yeah.
Save your pennies, kids. You're going to need a lot of money for this one. There you go. Great. Anything else about that one?
No.
Cool,
what
right.
Have we got next?
30th of August. Look, Teo Cruz, Dynamite. First appearance from one of my personal favourite artists of the last decade. Is Teo Cruz the finest musician of our or any generation, Tom? No?
I mean, it's up for debate.
It is, absolutely. Look, he is one of the finest musicians. We've seen so many celebrities of children, Tom, do some pretty second-rate music. I'm talking Jaden Smith. I'll even throw Willow Smith in there. Brooke Hogan, the Tin Lids. It's finally good to see something coming out from a celebrity child. Of course, Tom Cruise's son.
That's a hilarious joke, but of course, in real life, Teo spells his name in a different way.
He
than
does,
that.
yep.
In reality, he's actually the son of Penelope Cruz.
He is Penelope
of course.
Cruz.
Yep.
But could Tom be the father?
Well, they
don't know.
They did have a romance,
They did,
probably
they
triggered by sharing that same surname.
But jokes aside, we don't do many jokes on the podcast,
That's
but
a good
we'll do a
example
name
why.
one there. That's an example why. Now, this is a fucking banger.
Yeah.
No, look. The Teo Cruz story, he released his first album. He produced all the songs himself, did it all. He's from the UK, and then after that, he got a second album up and running, which is this one. This is
okay.
one of the singles off that. The first single off his second album, the album was called Rockstar. That first single was called Break Your Heart. I don't want to break your heart, if you remember that one.
I did, yes.
Now, the music video of that song itself is Teo advising a young lady that he's single.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily interested in a relationship.
Yeah.
If the woman that he's with, does want to be in a relationship with him, he might end up breaking her heart. That's sort of, how the song starts. He's upfront.
Yeah.
He's honest. I don't think any female could have a problem with that. He's said to her, look, I may break your heart. Let's, stay friends. We can hang out, but that's the way it's going to go. So he jumps in a speedboat with her with Rockstar. I should mention Rockstar. The album is spelled Rokstar.
Yeah.
The boat, the speedboat, has Rockstar emblazoned on the front, which is sick. So it's not only the name of his album and the boat, but he has a sunglasses and accessory company, Tom, also called Rockstar, which is a great tie-in. So he takes the speedboat with a chick in tow to a yacht where there's about 25 hot women on that boat. And Teo has the intention of banging pretty much all of them if he got the opportunity.
Clearly.
So Speedboat Chick's a bit upset when she gets to the boat. He jumps up on board. She's there with him going, we're going to hang out. She gets on the board and goes, fuck, there's 24 other chicks here. So look, she's upset, but for fuck's sake, you knew where you stood with Teo from the start. He said to you, I don't want to be in a relationship. I might break your heart.
Yeah.
Now, she probably expected the non-broken heart window to be open a fraction longer than 30 seconds because he's been off that Rockstar boat for about 5 minutes and he's already finger-slaying someone in the galley kitchen on the yacht. So she's probably like, fucking hell, I thought we were spending the day together. You're already off banging. So, I don't know.
I mean, as you say, we're not speaking metaphorically here. The video very literally starts with Teo saying to a chick in a car, I'm only going to break your heart, to which she replies, want to bet? And he says, bring it on, before immediately donning a pair of his own sunglasses and hooning off in an Aston Martin to the marina for some other chicks.
Yep.
Which I think we can agree is the coolest start of a music video ever made. Or certainly would be if this was also an episode of CSI Miami.
Yeah, that Rockstar
Which it
boat's
looks
sick. I think I'm glad that he emblazoned the front of the boat with that. But yeah, look, it's.
I like it that he's only had one album and he's already got his own sunglasses and accessories company.
I know, and you may notice that he wears those sunglasses.
Oh yes,
all the fucking time.
As I said, this is in the first 5 seconds of the video. It's him,
and he wears them in every video he's ever been in. But yeah, I think what I like about this the most is that sort of the disappointed look on the chick's face when she sort of steps in the boat. She's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, you get in the first 5 seconds, you can tell she thought this was merely harmless flirting. I think that, hey, I'm going to break your heart, want to bet, etc. It's like, oh no, I was literally planning.
Do you want to spend the day on my yacht? And she's like, sounds great. And then she's sitting next to him on the boat, and he's like trying to make out with some other chick like immediately. So
clearly, the only reason she was in his car in the first place was that the minibus he hired to get all the other strippers to the marina was full.
Yeah.
He only had one seat left.
Exactly, but she should have known where she stood. Teo did tell her at the very start.
True.
So look, song's a banger. Unfortunately, his sunglasses company didn't take off, but he gave the product placement to Red Hot Guys, who said he wears those branded sunglasses 99.9% of the time. Teo followed up Break Your Heart. That was the first single off this album. Second single off this album, Dirty Picture, Tom. A duet with Kesha. where Teo requests women to send him nudes, and then he'll send them dick pics in return. Kesha also gets in on the action. She didn't want to appear in the video of Flo Rida's blowjob anthem, but she's happily propping herself up on the seat of a nightclub toilet that can be best described as a pretty gnarly place to take a dump, so she can get the perfect angle on the snatch shot she's about to send to Teo. Because the song is just, take a dirty picture for me, take a dirty picture, send a dirty picture to me, send a dirty picture. Now, this song's over 10 years old, but I imagine that Kesha is still getting unsolicited dick pics to this day.
Yeah.
Because the whole song is just her telling someone to take a dirty picture and send it to her, and then Teo's doing the same thing. Look, I don't know. I imagine that Teo's monthly cloud storage bill must be through the fucking roof with how many gigabytes of dick pics he has on his phone.
Yeah, I bet you some nights Kesha, while her phone dinging keeps her awake again, she's thinking, I should have just gone with the blowjob anthem. At least I might have got some oral occasionally instead of just a constant stream of anonymous cocks on my phone.
Take a dirty picture of you. She's
Does she really do that in the video?
She's in a urinal. She's like propped up on the cistern of a toilet. And it looks like they don't show her taking a photo of her snatch, but it's implied in the song where it's like, because I think she sings, "I'll take a dirty picture for you." Yeah. That's the actual lyric, and she's in that public toilet.
I hope Teo also appears at the urinal with his cock out.
Oh, definitely, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of dick pics, yeah, definitely. Okay. So that's fucking weird as hell. And look, I don't know, it's pretty good. I like that one. So then Teo. He's hit big with, Break Your Heart. He's hit big with Dirty Picture.
Yep.
But he hasn't quite got to number one in Australia. Third single off the album, this track, Dynamite. I put my hands up in the air sometimes, saying, Ayo, let's go. Now, and then he says we're going to light it up like we're dynamite. Not sure if this is an ode to domestic terrorism. It's hard to tell. It might just be about getting people on the dance floor. Mm-hmm. But, he also states, I put my hands up in the air sometimes. So he's not overcommitting. No, I like that fact. Because a lot of songs like, oh, no, we're going to rock the party. Teo's just like, sometimes I'm going to get involved with this, not all the time. So that's pretty good. I like that. Now, in the video, it appears that Teo is running an illegal chop shop staffed entirely by young females in extraordinarily limited clothing. Now, I don't know about this exactly. And the reason that I'm not 100% sure about this, Teo is clearly an equal opportunity employer.
Yep.
So I'll give him that. Illegal chop shops are generally staffed by men from the films that I've seen, but I'm not sure that Teo's done the appropriate OH&S checks or training, as is it safe to be using an angle grinder in a bra? There's no protective clothing anywhere to be seen on site, and to be honest, not much regular clothing either. So I'm just concerned for these women's safety. Yep. I don't really know 100% whether what he's sort of promoting in this video, can you be using an arc welder in a bikini? I don't really know. But look, maybe I'm being sexist. Of course, a female can operate an angle grinder, can operate an arc welder, and I guess they can do it without any protective clothing and just a bikini if they feel that they have the skill set to do so.
Well, they're very confident. I mean, I feel that these women were clearly inspired to take up automotive repair by the video for Satisfaction by Benny Benassi. After watching that, they've gone straight to Auto-Tune, where the staff were too busy perving at their cans to ask them if they planned to follow correct OHSA procedures while using an orbital sander and a G-string.
Yes.
I think, but I mean, either very confident or perhaps those bikinis contain a great deal more asbestos than I had led to believe, because there's a lot of sparks going everywhere.
Oh, there's a lot of sparks, exactly right. I don't know, I imagine there's a lot of workplace sort of safety claims, I guess, in Teo's illegal chop shop, but look, it's okay. There's a bit where part of the chop shop gets blown up by dynamite as well, because it's a very that's what the song's called, of course, so they set some dynamite off, which doesn't seem like a safe thing to do in your workplace, but I guess it's the name of the song. He kind of has to do that. He's throwing his hands up in the air sometimes, as promised. He's setting off dynamite, so it all makes sense.
True. It's very logical.
Great video, great track. I throw my hands up in the air sometimes as well, Tom, saying, Ayo, let's go. Now, the song after this, the fourth single off the album, is called Hangover, I believe, and that's a song about him just being hungover. I think the lyrics just go, I've got a hangover. So it's good that he's touched on that sort of subject. The video clips is wall-to-wall product placement. It's a good song,
Sure.
but then out of nowhere, Flow Rider steps up to the plate for a rap bridge, projects it to another 10 out of 10. So for me, Teo is 4 out of 4 on this album. I give him that. Rolling Stone magazine shat on Rockstar, the album. Possibly the Sunglasses range as well. So you know it's good because those guys know fuck all about music.
Yeah, Nirvana, never mind. 3 stars out of 5.
Gee,
thanks, Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Look, I think I like this a bit less than you. Sorry. The chorus pumps, but overall, the Dr. Luke production sounds, for the second time this year, pretty cheap and disposable to me. Also,
reusing shit.
Yeah. Also, I am very, very sick of T-Pain rip-off auto-tune at this point. In Teo's work, I'm more of a fan of Break Your Heart featuring Ludacris, as previously mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that CSI Miami intro alone puts it above this to my mind, you know. The chicks using an angle grinder, seen it before, you know, look.
Dirty Picture for me is the best of the three, I think.
Yes. But, you know, perhaps what he needs to do is to, you know, get into some more serious issues.
Tom, we don't use the podcast enough to discuss serious issues, and I think that's a mistake. The podcast gives us a platform to reach literally dozens of people each week, and it's our duty to talk about some of these serious issues affecting society, especially the young people. And I feel that one of the big issues today is probably social media. We know that Facebook have tried to bury reports in the past about the negative impact that Instagram has on the mental health of young women. We know that social media tries to manipulate emotions to maintain young people's attention on platforms that can once again create problems with mental health.
True.
In sort of a sole purpose of, I guess, trying to sell products, etc. And the reason I bring this up is young musician Teo Cruz set up a TikTok account, Tom, and made some videos, some content to connect with fans, his fans. And he received so much negativity, so many people shitting on his videos, that Teo himself said that he felt suicidal, he felt depressed, and he deleted his TikTok account.
Wow.
Now, here's a young man just wanting to express himself, connect with fans, trying to make it as a musician in this cutthroat industry, and people have crushed his hopes, his dreams. He's deleted his account, and he may never TikTok again.
Wow.
Another young artist destroyed.
Yeah.
Well, I say young, he was 41 at the time, but another young person who has considered quitting the media industry, quitting music because of the toxic nature of social media. If I was Teo's father, which is not possible as I think he might actually be older than me, but if I was Teo's father, I mean, what do you say to your child, Tom? What do you say? You just want them to know that, you know, you love them, you support them, you don't want them to give up on their dreams, you know, that they're talented, they've worked so hard. You just want to say to them, look, son, there's going to be negativity out there. There's going to be haters. You just need to block all of that out. You just need to focus on the music. You know, you just got to stay positive. So what I'm saying, Tom, is that the next time you're out there, you're thinking of leaving a negative comment on a young artist's work, a young 41-year-old artist's work on their TikTok, just think about it for a second before you leave that negative comment, because do you really want Teo Cruz, the man behind Break Your Heart, Dirty Picture featuring Kesha, Hangover featuring Flow Rider, and Dynamite, do you really want that guy to delete the TikToks? He may never TikTok again, Tom.
It is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, to think, if only, you know, he'd been around after Melania Trump's anti-social media bullying campaign had been launched.
I know.
That poor little suffering 41-year-old adult man,
I know, yeah,
with multiple albums to his credit, millions of dollars in the bank, his own sunglasses range, speedboat, stable of hoes, etc., may not have, you know, felt suicidal about those TikToks he did, which I'm sure were top notch. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no,
I guarantee those 6.5 second improvised raps.
Yeah, look, I think in one he's dancing on a coffee table. I'm sure it was very good. And I think
Don't tell me that's not crazy.
No, exactly. So 30 seconds of Teo, you know, sort of probably maybe lip syncing to his own songs. Even I think it's good material. It's great content, and I just think that it's just the toxicity, isn't it, of social media that people are just so fast to jump on and cut people down.
You know, it's so often people get cut down before they've reached their true potential.
Yeah, exactly.
At 41 years old.
I know, and I just hate to see that happen to young artists and young
True.
people in general.
Before
I think
they've really been given a chance.
Exactly. So that's the serious part of this. Let's move on, Tom. What about the lyrics?
Well, the lyrics are pretty in-depth too, actually. There's surprising level of thematic complexity here.
Yep.
I came to dance, 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 dance. I hit the floor because that's my plans, 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 plans. I'm wearing all my favourite brands, 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 brands. Give me some space for both my hands, 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 hands. Because it goes on and on and on, and it goes on and on and on, yeah. I mean, it sure fucking does, because there's absolutely fuck all else happening here except I'm dancing in a nightclub.
Yep.
He doesn't even really talk about chicks he wants to bang in this one. I think maybe he's too worried about getting more dick pics sent to his phone. Like people thinking it was fucking
so.
Kesha again.
Definitely.
Too wary after that. She was like, fuck, I'm just going to mention putting my hands up. And even then, I'm not going to commit to constantly having my hands up, just occasionally having my hands up. And I'll make sure to reiterate, I mean both my hands, not just one hand.
Yep.
You know, in case people think I've got the other hand looking at my phone checking for
dick pics. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why he puts his hands up in the air sometimes, because the other times he needs his phone close to his face, so I can look at that.
Stuck with putting his hands up for Detroit instead.
Yeah, he's wearing all his favourite brands, which I assume are the Rockstar sunglasses that he wears frequently. He's always wearing a leather jacket as well.
I like to think he's wearing some early 90s Stussy, you know?
Yeah.
Keeping it irie.
Absolutely.
Some of that Jamaican flag designs, you know?
Definitely.
Cross colours, XXXXXL pants.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'd say definitely. He'd be on top of that. Now, 11 million Teo has on Spotify.
Was that more or less than Derulo? I think it's
less.
I think
less
Derulo
than
had the edge.
He's got more, yep.
They do share. So this guy is a bit like the UK Derulo. There is a certain similarity. They both also have facial hair drawn on with a pen as well.
They do. The CD single for Dynamite would cost you $3.
Yep.
I think if you're a savvy shopper, Tom, what you do is you don't spend the $3. Instead, you spend $1.30 on Dirty Picture CD single.
Yeah.
Because you get Kesha on that as well.
Yeah, or Break My Heart. That's a better song than this too.
And I think there's also a Dropbox link in the Dirty Picture CD thing where you can send your dick pics to it. So just cut out the middleman, go straight there, and Kesha can access that just in her free time, I think. So
sure.
Anything else to say about this one?
No. Who's up next?
Up next for 3 weeks is Rihanna.
She's back.
Only girl bracket in the world, end bracket. Now, this is another fucking banger from Rihanna.
It is.
When the chorus kicks in, she makes me feel like I'm the only girl in the world, Tom, as is the class of this. It helps that it's effectively a Eurobeat song, which I'm 100% into.
Yeah.
It's
got a touch of the neo-Euro dance about it.
Yeah,
sure.
I think so. If this was one of Jason Derulo's song, the mode it would be in would be faux crass club thumper.
Yeah.
Although probably take out the crass and the faux. It's just a club thumper, I think. So,
Yep.
But Rihanna operates in more than 2 musical modes, so she's all over the place. So, yeah. Anyway, love this one. This is great. This is from the Stargate production team.
Mm-hmm.
Whack as fuck name, but they know what they're doing. They produced Rude Boy as well.
Yep.
Rihanna's other, dildo anthem from earlier this year. And Don't Stop the Music, which I think is a song about not turning off music that is playing. Yep. Katy Perry also wanted to record this song too, I think. It was written and she heard it and went, I love that. Yep. And by the time she said, I want to get in on this, Rihanna had already laid it to tape and got it out there, so she was too late.
Look, Stargate are definitely my favourite production team based on a mid-90s science fiction James Spader vehicle. Although I didn't mind that remix of OPP by Boston Legal. That wasn't bad.
It's good.
What did you make of the video compared to the last one we had?
Oh, the video's great. It's just Rihanna fucking around in the middle of nowhere. She's in like a field in one bit, and there's some flowers. Just in a series of different outfits, which is great. and she's on a swing on one bit, and then in another bit she's in like the water on some sort of weird contraption. I like it.
Given that she's such a fashion entrepreneur and real good at showing up on red carpets with her cans out and or wearing tarpaulin-sized yellow dresses and so forth,
Yeah.
I think her actual music videos really leave a lot to be desired for me.
Yeah.
They're just so sporadic. There's not a lot of consistency in visual style or choreography or even fashion, really. Like, I like her fashion, but, you know, I mean, in my opinion, the most interesting thing she's done to date is Umbrella, and that was mostly just Rihanna posing in the rain or with silver paint.
That's silver paint, yeah.
Like, for instance, this is supposed to be from her Darker album. Like,
Oh, this is a different album now.
oh, okay.
That's what I was meant. Sorry,
So
that's what I was meant to
that makes
mention
a
before.
little bit
Yeah.
more sense.
This is the next
they're
album on
trying
the
for a
so-
visual thing, but yeah.
Yeah, so they did. So Rated R was the dark one, and then a couple of months later, she's
yes.
released this
Yeah,
one.
I think
when this one got released, her request to some of the songwriters she worked with before, her production teams, was, "I want something
Bit
lighter,
popular,
a bit more upbeat, a bit more sort of
The video,
that, so.
the video. It's definitely colourful. It's just there's no message. It's kind of like it's just like a Rihanna calendar. You know, it's just like, here's Rihanna in a field wearing one outfit. Here's Rihanna in the water wearing another outfit.
Yeah.
Here's Rihanna. There's no narrative. There's no anything. It's not even a mood really. It's
No.
just a
I think what I liked about this one was that generally with these types of video clips, it's like choreographed dance piece with like, because this is a Euro dance song, new Euro
she
dance.
doesn't really dance.
But that's
either.
the thing.
Yeah.
You expect this video to be in the club with her and 8 backing dancers and like
Yes.
choreographed shit, but instead it's just only Rihanna. A lot of wide shots in the field, so it's quite
Just
different
sort
to
of
the type of
posing and lobbing around and
Exactly. So I like that it's not the kind of video you would expect for this type of song.
No.
Not a lot happens, but I guess sort of they're just saying, hey, here's Rihanna. She's got a lot of outfits and she's attractive enough that hopefully people will be interested in seeing Rihanna in a field.
No, I'm sure no one's
So, I
complaining.
don't know.
It's just like,
Yeah.
with the budget she would have at this point, you know, I mean, she's not up. Like with her and Eminem in that other song,
Yeah.
Eminem's definitely the biggest star at this point in his career.
yeah.
He's like the most famous male, you know, modern musician at that point, whereas she's still on the rise at that
Exactly.
stage. But like, she would have been getting, you know, she could work
She's
with whoever.
She's massive by
Yeah.
now. This is about the 10th one we've spoken about. I think
She
we've
should have got
more
that guy who did the bloody Katy Perry video. At least he could have come up with, I don't know, another board game. We're going to do a Boggle-themed video clip.
Oh,
Get nude inside a giant plastic bubble. Someone jumps on the top. You spin around. You know, writes itself.
I think this would have been the perfect opportunity for.
Was that Boggle? Anyway, enough about Boggle.
I think Rihanna should have explored some claymation at this time, Tom. That would have been great. So, what about a claymation Rihanna? Fantastic. Look, this would be a good time, I think, Tom, to congratulate Rihanna on behalf of the podcast. The birth of her first child in May 2022.
That was
very recently. Her and ASAP Rocky, who you may know from such films as Zoolander 2. They're keeping the baby name a secret. Now, do people do that? I can understand sort of we don't want photos. We don't want to leak photos of the baby to the press. We're keeping that amongst ourselves. But keeping the name secret, that's going an extra step.
Beyonce and stuff and Jay-Z did it, I think.
Do they keep their baby name secret?
Can't tell whether it's because they hadn't thought of a whack enough baby name or whether they just want more publicity later on.
Yeah, look, I as I mentioned, understand the no photos, that's okay, but sort of not even saying the name's a bit weird. The name doesn't really mean anything. But look, what we don't know is obviously ASAP Rocky, he stylises his name $, for the S, AP, taking a leaf out of the Kesha book. So we're not sure if the Rihanna baby name also has $sign in there. I assume that it probably does somewhere. So congratulations, Rihanna.
Yeah.
Congratulations, ASAP Rocky.
Well,
great.
ASAP's name comes from the ASAP Mob, who are a New York hip-hop collective.
Yep.
Which is like calling yourself Wu-Tang Gary, for instance.
Yes.
So whether the baby is called ASAP Nigel like his dad would depend on what the ASAP mob feel that the baby would be able to contribute to their New York-based hip-hop collective.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like, you know, whether he's got some, you know, breakdancing, some graffiti skills, perhaps, a fashion template, you know. Blue Ivy style, perhaps.
Oh, look, Tom, in my experience, children of musicians are even better than their parents, so I think he's going to go straight to the top.
It's great. They usually have an excellent outlet. I spent 15 minutes today watching an extremely enlightening Chet Hayes interview
Chet
on
Hayes
Channel 5. That was sublime.
He's significantly better than his father in almost all respects.
That's right. Musical talent being one of those.
Yeah, definitely. And and I've said that about Sean Lennon as well. A lot of people don't agree with me, but it's fine. He is the best of the Lennons. So I assume that whatever Rihanna and ASAP Rocky's kid, whatever the kid is, I'm sure they'll be a great musician in the future. But given that Rihanna's a multi-billionaire, the child will probably never have to work a day in their life and might just be like the Paris Hilton of the next 20 years.
Sure,
Can't wait.
Sure, he'll grow up to be super well adjusted.
Anything else to say about this one? What about the lyrics?
Well, according to production team Sex, Lies and Videotape, Stargate, they played this to Rihanna while Katy Perry was there, as you said. And Katy Perry wanted it too because of the big diva chorus bit, which is the best thing about the song to me. Yeah. But they gave it to Rihanna instead, which was probably a good thing, or else it would have ended up featuring Belle Biv DeVoe, sounding like a busted cyborg, and had the name changed to Good Vibration, spelt with a Z to avoid copyright infringement or something.
Yep.
But anyway, to quote MacGyver, to Stargate, Rihanna killed it, and not to be too technical, but what makes the song a little bit different is the key change. The verse is in one key, and then it goes into a different key in the chorus. That's not a usual thing to do in dance music or pop music in general. Is that true, Ben?
I've never heard a key change before, ever.
Especially between a verse and a chorus.
No,
never. Fucking...
Never
blowing my mind.
Ever heard anyone ever do a key change?
I've got a follow-up question as well.
Yep.
How do you make a woman feel like the only girl in the world?
Well, based off my favourite film of all time, I Am Legend, Tom, what you do is you hope for a zombie or some sort of disease to kill off everyone else in the world, and then the person that's left will feel like the only girl in the world. So
global genocide is always an option.
I think so, global genocide.
The best I could think of was create an Alex Jones type conspiracy that everyone under 40 has been chromosomally mutated into transgenderism by contrails except for her.
Yep.
So she would be the only girl in the world.
Yep.
Or B, take her to see an Australian art film at the movies. I don't know about the world, but you'll certainly be the only people in the cinema.
That's true.
So at least you'll get to experience that, unique sensation.
I think they're probably better than my option, I think, for sure. But yeah, look, I like this one. Rude Boy is probably better because it's ambiguous. this one's about being made feel very special.
Well,
whereas Rude Boy could be about fucking any kind of dicking type scenario.
We do say this a lot, but the power ballad every 5 to 10 years seems to mutate into a new form of thing, and this kind of arena diva chorus anthem is the modern power. Your Katy Perry Raw and stuff, your fucking Lady Gaga, scream along chorus and stuff. Pink and so forth. That seems to be the modern version. Exactly. So if they've got a bit of oomph behind it, I don't hate it. If you can imagine people in an arena yelling along to it, and you think, well, at least it's effective on that level.
Look, it's safe to say, Tom, that if I was to one day say, you know what, I've never been to the Rod Laver Arena to watch a massive pop show.
Yeah.
Something I haven't done in my life. If I was to one day say, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Let's go and watch one of the biggest pop stars in the world, see what it's like, big production values. I think I'd be choosing Rihanna, just off the back of the sheer volume of bangers that she has.
Yeah,
because she's got a lot of songs that I'm not mad about, which is says a lot for this podcast.
Picking her before fucking Justin Bieber or something for sure.
Because I'm usually quite furious about, I wouldn't go, will.i.am would be like some sort of, imprisonment of your mind, I think. It's sort of, whereas I think Rihanna, there'd be some good hits in there that I would be enjoying. So that's good. $50 million for Rihanna. I've mentioned that before. This is going to cost you $5.05.
Yep.
So, which is probably, as expected, as we mentioned, not a lot of these things get made these days. Good stuff. Cool. Up next is Pink.
Yes.
Raise Your Glass.
Sure.
Wow. Now, I think I've said this before, Tom, but this is another track that appears to be aimed at divorced 40-year-old women. So Pink is nothing if not consistent. The song pretty much sounds like any other Pink quote anthem unquote.
Sure.
It reminded me of that one where she wrote the song about her boyfriend. Remember her husband that she split up with at the time, and she was gonna. And she cut down the tree, and it was dog shit.
It's my least favourite song of hers.
This song basically just reminds me of this. It's fucking crazy. Like
I think this is better than So What. So What is a fucking
it's
nadir for her. That's it. Yeah.
it is better, but I mean, God, it's sort of the other one was so bad that I don't know. I don't think there's no way it could be worse. But look, so this song's I guess one of those ones that's aimed for the oddballs.
Yeah,
The Pink
Lady Gaga style.
Pink considers herself to be a bit of an oddball, and if you raise your glass, if you're wrong in all the right ways, chorus.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a bit of an outsider, grab. Pink describes the song as a celebration for people who felt left out from the popular crowd.
Yeah.
Now, it raises a couple of questions. If you're 40 and you're still writing songs about I wasn't cool in high school despite the fact that you're now a leading pop star, that shows some sort of psychological trauma that you're never going to recover from. I mean, I get it. She must have been not popular maybe when she was at school, but guess what? You're one of the biggest pop stars in the world now. Why would you bother still going, I'm going to write anthems for what it's like to be a fucking loser?
It's a bit like fucking Weezer. I like quite a lot of Weezer's albums, especially their earlier colour-based records. But I can't help but notice that River Cuomo still seems to be essentially writing about his fucking year 10 high school experiences, and he must be now pushing 50.
Oh, yeah.
It is a little bit weird that, I'm not sure if I hope he's not just trying to pick up high school girls, but yeah.
He could be.
Either way, it was around this time that music for 13-year-old girls really started to lean heavily into openly advocating for the irresponsible consumption of alcohol.
Yep.
I mean, it must have come as a relief to high school boys at schoolies, for one thing. You just put the radio on and get Pink to tell your girlfriend to get pissed without feeling like you're twisting their arm. I mean, I'm not passing judgment. We had to listen to Frenzal Brom if we wanted to be openly incited to drink 4 litres of cask wine and pass out on the bowling green of an RSL, but that's just a few more steps away than this.
Yeah.
I mean, some might say it's irresponsible to encourage teen drunkenness, but the truth is that this is happening in a time when, for the first moment in human history, any grade 9 can now freely access the entire human songbook.
Yep.
24/7, 365 days a year. And the simple fact is that even with millions of dollars of publicity behind them, no discerning child is going to pick shorty goddamn boobies like bow, 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 unless they're heavily intoxicated in one way or another. I mean, hence the popularity of vaping with, Gen Z, I think. According to an industry insider, Ben, some music publishing houses are now basing up to 85% of their projected future earnings on fetal alcohol syndrome. And if that makes you uncomfortable, don't blame me, blame Pink.
Yeah,
That's
blame
what
Pink.
I'm saying.
I definitely do. Yeah, Shorty got those boobies like, wow, wow, wow. Are they the worst lyrics of all time? No.
They're up there, sure.
No good.
That make Crazy Frog take a dirt road.
Yeah,
Those ones.
definitely.
Fucking hell.
Now, this track itself, Raise Your Glass, this is the new extra song they do on the greatest hits albums. That bullshit that they used to do. I don't know whether they do that these days because, singles get released on Spotify and people can just avoid buying anything. But back in the day, it clearly was a sort of, here's the greatest hits CD. You're a Pink fan. You've already got all the albums, so we've got to throw a couple of new tracks on there. This was that song, so it's a cash grab. Written by Max Martin and Shellback. I'd be really curious to check out how many fucking pools Max Martin's house must have. He must have the sickest house in all of Sweden. I mean, I can't... the amount of hits that dude's written must be insane.
He was also behind fucking bloody Dynamite by Teo Cruz. That was Max Martin again, Dr. Luke again, and Bonnie McKee again.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, and Shellback... He's not one of the Ninja Turtles, as far as I know.
Oh.
We talked about that guy before. I think you mentioned him
Yes.
the last couple of weeks ago. He used to be in metal bands before. I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was in some sort of
He's another
Swedish
Scandi.
millet, like metal band of some form, and then he gave that the flick and said, "Oh, it turns out you can make way more money teaming up with Max Martin to write these pop songs." So this is that. I don't really have a lot to say about Pink in general. We've talked about it before. I don't have a lot to say about this song. How about you?
Look, the best thing I can say about this really is that after Train, this I think is one of the only 2 songs this year with musical instruments in them, which I guess tells you that instruments aren't everything, frankly, but, you know, it's something. The video is her 12th collaboration with Dave Myers, who's like the guy who just does all their videos. So unlike Rihanna, there
Mike
is...
Myers' dad? No?
Spelt differently, unfortunately.
Shit.
It'd probably be better.
Yeah.
So unlike Rihanna, there is a sense of continuation of theme, you know, through her videos. Like, they do sort of feel similar. Although that doesn't mean the theme can't include just throwing a bunch of random crap at the wall as well. Like, there's a pro-gay marriage-ish sort of element, which was a much more contentious issue at the time here. You know, there's dudes kissing, she officiates. It might explain also why she wakes up in bed with a nun at one point, although it doesn't really explain why she also wakes up in bed with a male rabbi and the Pope. She's, you know, still pretending to be a skate punk and a gangster at the age of 31 is lame, but it fits her brand.
Yep.
The part of the video I found a bit more confusing. Don't know if you noticed this part, but it was the part where she's leading a mask-wearing terrorist organisation who've kidnapped a dozen women, put them in the basement from a Nine Inch Nails video, hooked them up to a Saw-esque torture device and are using it to suck milk from their cans in order to feed it to a calf.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben? Was this Peter getting out of hand, Lady Gaga's dress style, or was 2010 just the year that lactation fetishes really hit the mainstream?
Yeah, I couldn't
that's
understand.
the second one we've had this year already.
I had no fucking idea what was going on in this music video, to be honest. I understood...
Spaghetti, wall, splat.
The bit I understood was in the context of the song about being for fucking high school losers. That's the context. The bit where Pink dresses up as like a younger version of herself and she puts some glasses on to make her look nerdy.
Oh, she's a nerd.
She's a nerd because she's got glasses on. And then as the nerd Pink, she jumps up to do the raise, but she does it too early. And she's like, "Oh no, because I'm a nerd. It's my own song.
Okay,
it's a very meta
kind of
type
funny,
thing." Yeah. And then I believe she does an ad lib, "Oh fuck" as well in the music video. So that bit's like, I understand that, you know, in the context of that, but the fucking lactose sort of the feeding the milk to the, I wasn't sure, whether she was like kidnapping women like Boko Haram style, something like that. Didn't know what was going on with that. I didn't know what was going on with skate punk Pink banging the Pope or whatever.
With a bunch of people watching her and stuff. There's this whole Rosie the Riveter thing, which has nothing to do with anything. Like, I mean, apart from just a vague sort of, you know, punk fucking girl power thing. Like, it has nothing to do with the song in any way.
No, so 95% of the music video made no sense to me.
It's very odd. But it's not boring, I will give it that.
No.
I found it a lot more engaging than that Rihanna video, for instance, despite the fact that the Rihanna video is a lot more aesthetically pleasant in the sense of if you just took a freeze frame to look at it way. But this one I found less boring than it.
I think it's on brand for Pink, though, to just do these videos where it's just a lot of cuts between disparate sort of all the time. Bits and like, look, here she's cutting down a tree. Now she's on a dolphin. Now she's in a fucking skate bowl. Now she's eating a hamburger. Great. So, anything else to say about the lyrics? Must be.
Well, supposedly the song celebrates Pink's 10 years in the biz.
Does it?
Yes, supposedly.
Great.
And was one of those ones, as you said, that you slap on a greatest hits album to get people to buy it if they've got the album already.
Yeah.
Frankly, by 2010, asking anyone to buy a greatest hits compilation is getting pretty fucking cheeky already, as previously mentioned.
Especially when they usually draw from like 3 albums or something.
Yeah, exactly. 10 years is not that long. But that's Pink for you, Ben. Like Gem and the Holograms, she's truly outrageous.
It's true.
As these lyrics demonstrate, party crasher, panty snatcher, call me up if you a gangster, don't be fancy, just get dancy. Why so serious? So raise your glass if you are wrong in all the right ways, all my underdogs. We will never be anything but loud and nitty gritty, dirty little freaks. Pink seems convinced that her audience are social outcasts, bordering on the level of crust punk anarchists, gang members, and sexual deviants. Do you think that's actually accurate? Or are they more like,
40-year-old divorced women is what I'm feeling. I don't know.
Yeah, I still think there's a lot of 14-year-olds writing Pink on their pencil cases, but, fuck. Maybe.
14? I'm thinking 8. 8 to 10 maximum.
Yeah,
8-year-olds.
might be over silly.
Yeah, look, I don't know. If I can win tickets to a Pink concert, I would not part with any of my own money. But if I could, I would go and then I'll do a scout of the audience and tell you what the demographic is.
Don't be fancy, just get dancy. One of those show shit. It's actually good lyrics. It's not terrible.
Well, when you read those lyrics out, I was like, that's so bad. It goes full circle and becomes good again.
I think that's better than the. Let me see. Going to raise my hands, wearing my favourite brands. I'll take don't be fancy, just get dancy over that, I think.
Well, fancy and dancy, I think that's a great sort of, rhyming couplet, whereas I'm wearing all my favourite brands is just fucking stupid. Yeah. So when we know the brands he's referring to are his own sunglasses company, I mean, fuck off, Teo. So,
sure.
Anything else on this?
No.
26 million for Pink, $3 for the CD single. Yet the whole greatest hits album only cost you $1.21. So if you're a savvy shopper, just fucking buy that. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Money well spent.
Yeah. Up next for 1 week, Bruno Mars, "Just the Way You Are." Now, this is cheese factor dialed up to about 1 billion.
Sure
I think.
is, isn't it?
It sounds like something an X Factor runner-up might record.
Yeah.
But look, if Bruno wrote this to get access to A-grade snatch, then I assume it's mission accomplished, Tom, because this is probably written for the sole purpose of trying to bang chicks.
I know what you mean. It's kind of like high-budget Guy Sebastian or something.
Yeah.
Bruno commented on the track too during an interview with Blues and Soul magazine. I'm a big fan of songs like Joe Cocker's You Are So Beautiful and Eric Clapton's Wonderful Tonight. Songs that go straight to the point. There's no mind-boggling lyrics or twist in the story. They just come directly from the heart. And to me, Just the Way You Are is one of those songs. There's nothing mind-blowing about it. I'm just telling a woman she looks beautiful the way she is. And let's be honest, what woman doesn't want to hear those lyrics? You might notice that a song he doesn't mention in that list is Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel, which is Katy Perry style, the same theme, subject, and exact title as this song, except better and 40 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't say that too lightly because I don't particularly like that song either. I just think it's still better than this fucking song.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah.
What does he mean by, no twists? What is it? How many pop songs have, M. Night Shyamalan style, oh, fuck, when it gets to the bridge, you're going, I didn't see that coming. I didn't realise that he was a ghost the whole fucking time.
When Flo Rida says he sees a chick in the club
Yep.
wearing those apple-bottom jeans and the boots with the fur, you don't necessarily know if he's going to end up fucking her at the end of the song.
Oh,
but,
exactly.
It could go two ways. But,
Yeah, I mean, that's right. There's so many twists, Teo Cruz, I put my hands up in the air sometimes, and then in the third verse, he's like, I always put my hands up in the air, like, fucking hell.
What state are his hands in at any
I didn't
point?
see that
It's
coming
like
at all.
his cat,
Yeah, so no idea what the hell he's talking about. In the music video, he's fucking around with a cassette tape, and he uses the tape to create a portrait of the chick he's trying to bang. And look, it obviously worked. I assume he dicked her at the end of this. But
it's worse than Owl City, this video.
Yeah. He wasn't really doing the cassette thing either, Tom. He wasn't doing it himself.
No.
It was all CGI. It's
CGI.
like this decade's Aha Take On Me, but less iconic and also significantly less good.
Yeah,
it's
arse.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's what we call in the design industry, that's half an idea. It's like the kind of shit you come up with the last minute that was like a backup idea from back before, and then you're like, but how will this actually work when we do it in like fucking computer graphics, just fucking CGI it quickly.
Because he
Running
used the
out of
tape
time.
to write out his name and then the name of the song, and you're like, okay, that's, just end there. But then he was trying to do an illustration of the chick the whole time and like move her mouth and stuff.
If he
Suck
could
shit.
have been fucked doing it in a sort of, what's his face? Who's that goddamn director? The French guy, the really twee one. If you'd done it with like stop motion, if you got someone to actually make a thing with cassette tape that moved or some shit, like by hand, that could be kind of cool.
Might be a lot better, yeah.
But, you know, because it's just all fake, it's just meaningless, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Also, cassette tape, you know.
Yeah, it's fucking 2010. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yep. This is his debut single, but he'd done some prior guest work, like done some featurings on a few other songs.
Yeah.
And he already scored a #1 as a writer, as you may recall, with the Kesha Flow Rider Blowjob anthem. We've already
Yes.
mentioned this episode.
Yeah.
He was a co-writer on that. Remember when I think Flow Rider was talking about how, you know, it was a metaphor for some sort of thing, and then Bruno came in and went, it's just a song about blowjobs. So, look, at least he's honest. I
He
respect
did say
that.
he likes going straight to the point.
He does, yeah. This is a high-selling single of the year in Australia, I think. I think that Train song sold like 6 million copies in America or something, but I think in Australia this was a high-selling single. So people still love weak shit. So,
sure do.
yeah. Look, Bruno, he's made a career effectively out of strip mining in the past, and this is no exception. He's comfortable moving between different eras, different genres. He does all of that. Takes a certain, I'm going to do like a 70s funk thing, and then he just do that. And he's like, now I'm going to do an 80s like pop thing, and he just does that. And look, you know, I guess he obviously keeps having a lot of hits, so he does what he does well, but I dare say there's not a lot of originality in most of the stuff he does. But look, there's not a lot of originality in a lot of pop music, to be honest. I think it's just sort of probably wears his influences on his sleeve a little bit more than some other people. But certainly my favourite performance from Bruno is that of Little Elvis in the 1992 American romantic comedy film Honeymoon in Vegas, starring James Caan, Nicolas Cage, and Sarah Jessica Parker. So, Bruno's acting debut as Little Elvis. Not sure why Baz Luhrmann didn't look at that and go, that fucking guy killed it as Little Elvis. Oh shit, he's like 40 years old now. Why don't we get him to play actual Elvis in this film? So, missed opportunity.
He probably bears about as much resemblance to Elvis as the guy that they used in the
Oh yeah.
film Elvis.
But can you cast a Hawaiian sort of slightly dark skinned Elvis? Are Hollywood ready for that? Is the world ready for that? Bruno Mars as Elvis, or are they going to say no dice?
Well, the problem is that people come to Baz for his hard-edged technical realism in all aspects of his work. You know, I don't think those people would accept it. But,
No.
But I think you're right. Like, I mean, yeah, the thing about the retro stuff, for several years, Bruno seemed to believe he was Michael Jackson in 1989, for instance. That was a whole thing of his. But, yeah, I prefer his more recent retro soul 70s flavoured work with Silk Sonic.
Yep.
I recently linked to one of their songs in a heavy metal themed chat group I'm part of, and to my surprise, the song got an extremely positive reception. You know, I think the sort of campy, bass heavy funk might have even helped several of them finally make the decision to leave the closet behind. But no, I'm just kidding. The main consensus was, that I should commit suicide.
Oh,
yes,
Jesus.
Yeah.
People are so harsh.
I think that stuff probably works better because he's a super handsome dude with a rad voice, but he needs a good song behind him and real musicians, I reckon. Otherwise, you just end up with this sort of nothing burger type thing, you know. Like, but then, as you say, it's a fucking biggest song of the fucking year, so what do I know? But in terms of quality, he's definitely done way better shit than this. Like, you know.
Oh yeah, this sucks.
Even that fucking Flow Rider song was better than this ass.
Oh, absolutely. 51 million, $1.50. What are the lyrics?
When I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change because you're amazing just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while.
It's fucking hell.
I wasn't kidding about the Billy Joel thing. If it takes you 40 years to write a worse version of a Billy Joel song, I don't know what to tell you. Either invent a time machine or try and think of something new to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Do you think there's many people that look at someone and go, those eyes need to be a centimetre further apart? Do Is that what people do? Go, I don't know, because Bruno wouldn't change a thing about that face, nothing at all.
Well, one could argue that the
That's the
very
perfect
common,
face.
almost hackily cliched romantic song line, "I love you just the way you are," is a fucking tautology, because when you love someone, you love them just the way you are. It's one of the conditional elements of being in love with someone.
Yep.
Very few people are genuinely in love with someone but hate lots of stuff about
Yep.
them. That's not how it works. You can be physically attracted to someone but dislike large parts of their personality. But if you are romantically, classically in love with someone, then you do love them just the way you are. So it's a redundant, stupid-ass thing to say, but, hey, if it gets you laid, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm sure it worked for Bruno on this one, so all good times.
Who's up next?
Well, my favourite, Kesha.
She's back.
We are who you are. So
Who we are.
we are who we are with a letter R.
Both letter
Who
Rs.
we are. We are who we are. Yep. So it's
I was wondering why I couldn't find it when I kept typing it in. Just like,
we
oh,
are
right.
who we are. Now, this sounds like Teo Cruz's Dynamite,
Mm-hmm.
which in turn sounds like Kesha's TikTok. Is Dr. Luke just reusing material at this stage? It fucking sounds like it to me. So, this is very similar to TikTok.
Yeah.
Very, very similar. But look, I like that song because of how fucking stupid it was, so I'm not necessarily angry with this either.
Did I mention that I was already sick of this after that last Dr. Luke song we had 10 minutes ago? I'm starting to worry that Dr. Luke may not actually be a fully qualified medical
Yeah,
professional.
I'm not sure if he
Despite his frequent unwanted breast examinations that he seems to be handing out in his studios. But
Yeah.
look. I mean, this is not catchy, don't get me wrong.
No.
Like you say, if you like TikTok, you'll like this. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same formula. They've gone, that worked, let's do that. Yeah.
I'm thinking Dr. Luke might be one of those doctors that did a PhD in The Simpsons or something like
From
that.
Hollywood
like his-
Upstairs Medical Academy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Look, there's something about Kesha that I'm all about, Tom. I mentioned it earlier, and I think what that is that she seems genuinely unhinged at times. I mentioned it before that, as I said, Pink and Katy Perry, so they've got that fake wacky, and look, I think that the marketing department, as I said, have dreamt that up, whereas I think Kesha is probably just a bit wacky, but also I have a feeling that if I had to spend extended periods of time with her in real life, it could become quite annoying.
Possibly.
Fair assessment?
Yeah. I think ironic. I say ironically too much, but sometimes it is appropriate. In contrast to those other ones, I think, whereas with Katy Perry you've got someone who's deeply unwacky, having layers of wackiness airbrushed onto her. With Kesha you've got someone who is quite wacky, but then they try to spray paint layers of wackiness on top of the wackiness, and it just ends up with this. It seems perversely artificial, not because she's not who they're saying she is, but that they've taken her wackiness and then on top of that they've glued fucking metal eyebrows onto her head and stuff like that. And it's just like, maybe if you let her do her own wacky makeup, she would look wackier than if you just staple things to her face.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with that. So, no, agreed. Look,
Also, stop fucking around with people's eyebrows. Like, haven't people learned anything from the last 300 years?
Yep,
If
just
you
leave 'em
fuck
alone.
around with people's eyebrows, it looks crazy.
it does look crazy, exactly.
Anyway.
So, Kesha, Tom, she's a very visual performer and enjoys giving impromptu tattoos.
Yes, I've heard this.
Kesha apparently gave Australian TV presenter Scott Tweedy a non-permanent tattoo of a penis in 2011.
Oh.
Now, Tom, in case you're wondering, a non-permanent tattoo is just a drawing with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really count as a tattoo,
Sure.
but apparently she did that once. But
Also,
more
who the fuck is
interestingly...
Scott Tweedy.
Oh, fuck no.
It's one of those Australian TV personalities.
He used to host a music TV show called The Loop on Channel 10, which doesn't exist anymore. She gave rocker Andrew WK a tattoo with a line, of a tattoo of just a straight line, so it's a pretty shit tattoo to begin with ink from a pen and a safety tattoo, a safety pin, which eventually became infected. So that's pretty rank. And she also given safety pin tattoos to fans and, quote, a hot dude in a hotel lobby. I think that was Teo Cruz.
Who do you think regretted their tattoo decision more, Ben? Andrew WK with an infected squiggly line done by Kesha with a bit of wire she found on the ground while pissed, Or the cast of the first Suicide Squad movie, who let Margot Robbie give them all matching Suicide Squad tattoos in order to permanently commemorate that time they were all in the movie Suicide Squad.
Yeah, fuck it. So,
I think I'd go the infected line, because the infected line would eventually heal. Whereas
Yeah.
the Suicide Squad is just going to sit there reminding you that you were in that one with Jared Leto as the Joker for all time. The only person who didn't get one was Will Smith. He was the only one smart enough to go, yeah.
he refused to do it.
I like to
Yeah.
imagine that he used the words, oh, hell no, when asked.
Hell no, I'd say so, definitely.
Perhaps
Look,
he said, get that fucking tattoo gun.
I think if I had a tattoo
My
of a weird,
wife's
if I had a tattoo of a weird line on my arm or wherever it is, and someone said, "What the hell is that?" Just go, "Oh, Kesha." People would be like, "Oh, that's an interesting story."
Yeah.
But Suicide Squad tattoo, that's not for me, Tom.
If
so-
it said Kesha, then you'd be like,
no thanks.
no, thanks. Just
No,
a squiggly line.
Yeah, look.
Also, Andrew WK basically is the world's leading authority on what constitutes a good time. So if he reckons
Oh,
getting a
fucking
squiggly
hell.
line done by a pissed Kesha on your arm's a good time,
Yeah,
Hey,
I'd probably do it.
I
if
bow
Kesha-
to his decision making in that.
I take back that Rihanna thing. When Kesha's at the Rod Laver, I'm there. So
Also, I've got to admit, like you say what you like about Kesha, giving a safety pin tattoo to a hot dude in a hotel lobby who was probably just some guy who said, "Hey, you're Kesha," and he was pissed. That is the kind of thing that Katy Perry would not be doing.
Oh,
That
no.
is
She
sounds
wouldn't
like
talk to fans.
a genuinely fun, sort of trashy thing to do.
oh, absolutely.
You know?
Let's get some tequila shots and you're gonna give me a tattoo. Fucking A, let's do it. So the music video for this song was directed by Hype Williams. We've talked about this guy before. He's directed a billion things.
Yes, he
Filmed
finally eventually got out of the hip hop thing and into other stuff.
Filmed in downtown LA.
Yes.
They had to close the 2nd Street Tunnel.
Yeah, it
part
all
of
takes
downtown LA. Yep.
it takes place in that big tunnel you've probably seen in movies. That's a giant arch. It's
Yep.
one long low arch thing, but it's fucking huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's massive.
So they shut that down for 48 hours
Yep.
to make the music video for this time. And when I was watching the music video and saw that, the whole scene taking place, what I thought was, living in LA must be fucking bullshit. So, I mean, the traffic in that city is bad enough, yeah? People drive forever. And then imagine, you got to deal with shit like, oh, we're shutting down this tunnel for 2 days so we can film a fucking Kesha music video. And now you're like, holy shit, I got to find an alternate way to work.
Yeah.
It's going to add 3 hours to my commute.
Yeah.
And that shit would happen every week because there's always a Kesha music video.
Michael Mann's having a shootout in the freeway. And,
So it's just
I know
sort
what
of,
you mean.
I got to it takes me
top
45 minutes
of
to
all
drive
that-
to work. Now it's going to take me 3 hours.
On top of that, then you'd think, oh well, I'll watch it a year later, and maybe you can see my car in the background.
Yeah.
And a year later, it comes on, and you go, the video features about 1/100th of the number of extras that you would need to carry off this concept.
Oh, yeah.
E.g., no matter what angle they put the camera on, it does not look like there's really many people in this
No.
tunnel. Like, you're trying to... Obviously, someone's done a storyboard of, like, a rave in the tunnel. Like, if we can close off that thing, we get enough people there. It looks... Because the ceiling looks rad. We'll have... And instead... and that's weird because you'd think they'd have some cash after all the fucking product placement that they've got
in this fucking
I
oath.
counted G-Shock watches.
Yeah.
Revolution Tequila is in about 30 shots in
It's the whole video.
Like all the whole range is in every shot.
Yeah.
And bizarrely, the website plentyoffish.com, which was like, you probably wouldn't know this because you're happily married, but that was like the low rentest free dating site ever of the zeros. And like, even in this flashy video clip, the website manages to look like an Angel Fire page from 1996. I'm guessing Apple weren't interested because they've covered up the logos on the laptops showing the Plenty of Fish.
Good.
I think maybe Steve Jobs wasn't a fan of looking sick and sexified.
Oh, no.
As this video suggests that he's doing.
Does Steve Jobs have a Kesha tattoo? Well, he doesn't now. He's
Just
in the
a
ground.
squiggly
Yeah.
line. Yeah, no, he's up in heaven with 350 million broken iPads.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Did you have anything else to say about this one?
Look, Tom, this is where we bid farewell to Kesha on the podcast, unfortunately. She hasn't had another number one hit.
This was
but
her
look,
apex chart-wise.
she's still going today in the music industry, so maybe we'll get to talk to her again. To be honest, it's safe to say that her career was hindered by the, quote, falling out with Dr. Luke. Falling out is one way to put it. Alleged rape is another. Dr. Luke was never charged with anything, but... series of lawsuits, Kesha lost them, effectively.
Yeah.
His career does not appear to have been hindered at all, and that's the thing with this industry, I guess. People are still prepared to work with him. There's always new young talent that want someone. He's like, he's a hot producer, like music-wise. He can produce the songs. He's going to get some hits. There were those allegations, but don't worry, nothing came of it. So his career is unhindered, whereas Kesha hasn't really created the same level of interest since this time.
She's had a few songs on the charts, but nothing. No, not at this level.
She's still forced to release music on his label, which doesn't sound ideal. So I do feel a bit bad for her in that sense. So
I always felt like if one other person had come out with something about him, in today's kind of slightly more, accepting climate, this was sort of on the cusp of that. Yeah. But I think at one point she claimed that Alanis Morissette... No. Was it?
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga had happened with her.
Yeah.
But then Lady Gaga was asked about that and didn't come forward. But, these situations get so complicated when there's millions of dollars on the line. Fucking who knows,
Exactly. So, unfortunately for Kesha, she made the allegations and nothing came of it, effectively, for her.
I hope she made some money from these early albums, at least,
No, exactly right. So, look, what's she up to now? She featured on a remix of the song Drop Dead by Grandson in 2021, remixed by Travis Barker. So, it's good to see she's teamed up with that dude.
From Taxi Driver. Sorry, I couldn't resist that shit joke.
In 2020, she started her own podcast titled Kesha and the Creepies, which explores supernatural life, psychedelia, non-traditional spirituality, and more creepy themed topics.
Well, I hope she tells that story about how she fucked a ghost.
Fucked a ghost, yeah, exactly. Each podcast has a guest each week, including Alice Cooper. So there you go.
Don't tell me Alice Cooper hasn't fucked a ghost. A skeleton at minimum.
Has. Yeah. So look, I thought I'd round this out with some quick Kesha trivia, Tom.
Sure.
People love trivia. She's part Hungarian. She's a vegan. Vegetarian, actually.
Sure.
Feminist. Her favourite colour, chartreuse. Doesn't surprise me. She's an ordained minister and performed legal commitment ceremonies for same-sex couples and opposite-sex couples. Mm-hmm. Sexuality, I don't just love men, I love people. It's not about gender. She's involved with the LGBT plus activism and animal rights. Mm-hmm. She believes in God. She reportedly has an IQ of 140.
Is that high? I don't know what's...
Yeah, that's high.
Okay.
Pretty high.
She's a real Shakira.
She is, yeah. She had a gold tooth from 2010 to 2015. It was installed after she chipped her actual tooth doing some, quote, rowdiness at the bar. She actually chipped it opening a beer bottle with her teeth. So power to her.
Cool.
She joked the gold tooth was her biggest beauty regret. So there you go. She used to use beer as an adhesive for when she started wearing body glitter, but stopped because she got a skin rash. So there you go. She broke into Prince's house to leave him a demo CD. She co-wrote the song Stephen when she was 16 with her mother. Her mother was a songwriter and co-wrote a Dolly Parton song. Doesn't like milk. Sometimes when she writes songs, she lays her breasts on the piano.
See, this is the thing. This is my problem with Kesha. Not to judge someone who's lived a totally different life, but there is kind of a blurred line, if you will, Robin Thicke style, between trashy and thirsty.
Yeah.
And breaking into Prince's house, for instance, might be more on the trashier side, more on the thirsty side, and less on the fun, party, trash bag side.
Yeah.
Chipping your tooth, opening a beer bottle, that's fun, trashy,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, she
playing
carries...
the piano with your tits might be a bit, and then telling people about it, a bit thirsty.
Yeah. She carries edibles in her purse and smokes weed regularly. So there's some fun facts for Kesha.
I could never have guessed any of that information.
She's
by
still
listening to one
still
of these
getting
songs.
18 million on the Spotify, so that's good.
There you go.
Congratulations to her. We Are Who We Are. That's going to cost you $9.85. That's almost one of the most expensive ones we've ever had on here,
Sure.
Tom. So yeah, it's going to cost you the best part of $10. Lyrical highlights.
Okay. Credited to Kesha, someone called Ammo, Benny Blanco, who's done way too much work with Ed Sheeran, Jacob Kesha, who's done way too much work with Maroon 5, and Dr. Luke, who's done way too much work in court. DJ, turn it up. It's about damn time to live it up. I'm so sick of being so serious. Don't remember when that was, but sure. It's making my brain delirious. I'm just talking truth. I'm telling you about the shit we do. We're selling our clothes, sleeping in cars, dressing it down, hitting on dudes, pause, hard. Now, it's about time people started advocating for the potential advantages of the homeless lifestyle, Ben,
Yep.
given its increasing popularity with hot young people. Like, who cares if your stockings are ripped all up the side? You're living in a car and partying under freeways, you know? Chuck a bit of glitter eyeliner on and start macking on the next guy who calls himself doctor with no evidence, like Dr. Luke or Dr. Ben Gillies, and everything will work out fine, you know? Or at least you'll be at a big party with a DJ who's not paying attention to the next mix because they're too busy on F-list dating sites. Drinking low-budget tequila out of a blue glass bottle. That's one life lesson for the kids out there.
Oh.
Don't drink alcohol that comes in a blue glass container.
No,
it's not going to be good.
Definitely. Do you reckon she still has that tequila endorsement from the music video? Do you reckon there's probably still cases of that in her house? There was so fucking much being thrown around. So, yeah. Look. Up next, Tom.
Up next.
It's a fool's errand to pour over the back catalogue of the Black Eyed Peas to determine their worst song. But for me, Tom, this is probably it.
This is why 13-year-olds are hitting the tequila bin.
Yep.
To grow up in a world with this shit in it.
This is the Black Eyed Peas song, The Time, bracket, Dirty Bit, end bracket. Now.
You go, please.
It's a reworking, and I use that term loosely. A human rights violation might be a more accurate description of the song I've Had the Time of My Life. As some people know, the theme from Dirty Dancing, Tom.
Yes, yeah, the song that plays at the end when they finally, hook up.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Time, bracket, Dirty Bit, end bracket, is the lead single from the Black Eyed Peas album, The Beginning, which followed The End, which sounds clever if you're the sort of person who takes 27 years to realise that Will I Am is an anagram of Will I Am. It samples I've Had the Time of My Life, as you say, and sold over 7 million depressing copies worldwide and reached number 4 in the US and number 1 in multiple other countries. Yeah, I mean, I know you're not much of a fan of the original song, but this really does make you appreciate it, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't mind the original song from Dirty Dancing, but even if it was my least favourite song of all time, they've somehow managed to drop it down several notches on this. Now, if that Eminem song from earlier felt like the Rihanna bit had been sort of crowbarred in, the Time of My Life part in this song feels like it was smashed into the rest of the song in the Hadron Collider. So jarring are the two pieces of music, there's no real way they can be combined apart from such a collision at speed, I would suggest.
Yes.
So, did you know that there are people that believe the world ended due to an incident in the Hadron Collider and we're currently living in an alternate timeline?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a wild time to be alive.
Sure,
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like a flat Earth type thing, but even crazier. So
I'm a big fan of simulation theory. I think, like the Black Eyed Peas suggested, we're all currently living inside a computer.
Yes.
And to a computer, this song doesn't sound like a big pile of fucking horse anus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we're just, again, progressing slowly through the Black Eyed Peas' achingly tedious discovery of how to make techno music from 15 years ago. This follows the basic 1995 template of getting an old vocal sample, adding a basic beat, repeating it for a bit, going wub, 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 dropping the sound for 4 seconds, then playing the vocal again, but louder so people dance. I mean, the formula works to a certain extent. The entire Ministry of Sound empire was built on that fucking one formula. When you hear A-list acts recycling this shit on the dance floor 12 years past its use-by date, the success of Daft Punk and Modular really makes even more sense in actually trying to do something new. That said, because this actually follows a basic formula somebody else much smarter than the band invented 20 years before, for me, that puts this above the last 5 songs of theirs we'd covered.
Yeah.
Just on the sense of it having a sort of basic template. I mean, who knows? Maybe on the next album they'll figure out how to get the tempo slider on Pro Tools to match up with the vocal speed, because it certainly doesn't in this song. You know, at this rate, they'll have figured out how to do their first breakbeat in 2047. That should be ready to take on Crunk by 3008. Hang on. Is that what Fergie was... Is she dropping hints about this huge party in 3008 where all this stuff makes sense again?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. When Lulu by Metallica and
Yeah.
Lou Reed is played and we all finally understand the genius.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Exactly.
got to stop making that same shit joke.
Look, I thoroughly enjoy will.i.am singing the theme song from Dirty Dancing, heavily auto-tuned and then sort of smashed into a really terrible techno bit that doesn't really relate at all.
No, it's
But look, this is the spiritual sequel to that shit song I've Got a Feeling that we talked about a few weeks ago. will.i.am told Billboard magazine, if I've Got a Feeling was about someone who went out and said, I have a feeling tonight's going to be a good night, you got to imagine that with auto-tune, then what would that person say when they got back from the party? They're going to tell you, wow, I had the time of my life. And that's what this song, The Time, is. I don't think a single person alive has done that, Tom. Has anyone ever gone out and just went, oh yeah, I've had the time of my life thanks to that Black Eyed Peas song? That has not happened at all.
It doesn't explain where dirty bit bracket comes from either. Really.
Well, do I need to explain that, Tom?
Sure, why not?
I can explain that for you if you would like. Now, firstly, I've got a couple of things to explain. First of all,
sure.
You mentioned that the album's the beginning. Yeah.
Yes.
We've mentioned previously that the Black Eyed Peas in interviews are generally have a lack of self-awareness.
Yep.
Sort of.
A complete lack, some might say.
So this is what will.i.am has said. The beginning is about taking ownership of your life and not waiting for someone to give you the answers, but to go out and search for those answers yourself. We're saying, don't let the negativity rule you. Sometimes going out and celebrating is a departure. It's a manifestation of your desire to live a happy life. Some people will say, what the fuck am I celebrating? I got no job, I just got laid off, I got to pay the mortgage. What the hell is there to celebrate, Mr. will.i.am? You're celebrating the fact that you're alive, that you have a mind, and you know right from wrong. So, Tom, next time life's getting you down and, you know, you're having one of those days where you just sort of feel like things haven't really gone your way and you're like going, it's a bit rougher today, you know, I wanted to sort of do this thing and it didn't quite happen, you know, maybe I'm not sort of happy in my job or various other things. I just want you, Tom, to take a step back, sit down at home and just tell yourself, I'm alive, I have a mind, I know right from wrong. And I think you'll feel much better.
Can I also add, and I bought some ecstasy for that guy, which I'm going to take tonight,
Correct.
which is still what he's fucking talking about. He just doesn't have the balls to actually say it, but that's, again, what he's fucking talking about. That's what he was crapping on about in the last 3 fucking songs. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But I do that, Tom. You know, I sort of get home and just go, oh, what a rough day. I'm alive. Mm-hmm. I have a mind and I know right from wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to get to the bit that you asked before about the dirty bit, Tom.
Sure.
So co-founder Apple Diap, that guy that I sometimes forgets in the band, this is what he said. I'm saying the beginning in a different way. It's going back to the beginning. And dirty bit is 8-bit. And that's how technology started. So the dirty bit is going back to the beginning when you used to play Atari and those graphics. Now, This is a band that's known for zero self-awareness and making no fucking sense in interviews. But that has to be the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard in my entire life. I always wondered why Fergie and will.i.am were the face of the Black Eyed Peas, but after reading that, I understand that they should never let that guy do any interviews at all. Because what in the fuck is he talking about?
Well, as previously mentioned, this is the same guy who can't make it back to his hotel room at the end of the night without getting naked, shitting himself and dragging his ass around a fucking public carpet in the hallway in a hotel. And also, do you remember last time we were talking about the Black Eyed Peas discovering dance music when I said it was also like they were discovering computers and how technology works at all from first principles? Well, this is when they started using pixelation in all their videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, again, was already fucking old and out of date, retro 8-bit shit at this time as well. It sounds like, again, someone in a nightclub, again, on ecstasy, explained a concept to them, which stuck in their fucking tiny little pixel-sized brains, and is now being regurgitated in some whack-ass form. And then on the cover of their shit from all this album, it's all these dumbass pixel drawings of them and stuff, like not even in an interesting way, just like cubes globbed together, like oh my god, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. Look,
sorry, it's just like
what I anticipated the dirty bit was.
Again, as you say, also doesn't explain that at all. Has nothing to do with that. He's not using it as a double meaning.
Well, I wasn't sure whether I assumed. Okay, so you've got this sort of hooky, I've had the time of my life, sort of very poppy bit, and then when the dance bit comes in, it does have a bit of distortion on there and a bit of like, so it's sort of I thought that was like the quote the dirty part. It sounds a bit like musically dirtier than the other bit, or it might have just been about Fergie shitting on his chest. I wasn't sure what the dirty bit was, but that I assumed it was one of those two things. I didn't assume that when someone asked him what the dirty bit would be, he'd reference 8-bit Atari graphics, but there you go.
He's been hanging around Alex da Kid too much.
I think so. But yeah, the music video to this, I forgot how terrible that was too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
just the
fucking
so everything about this. This is the worst Black Eyed Peas song for me, just because of how jarring that sort of transition is. The dance song itself part, not great, not terrible. The I've had the time of my life part, kind of terrible, and then you put them together and it's just unlistenable for my mind.
It's a fucking dog's breakfast.
Yeah.
But I think in its dog's breakfast, I find it vaguely more interesting than Shorty Got Titties like Yay, 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 or whatever we had like 3 months ago.
Yeah, it's entertaining because it's so terrible.
Unlistenable.
Yeah.
Like, as is Boom Boom Pow, which is
sucks.
barely even a song. It's just...
What are the lyrics on this bad boy?
I don't even know. Can't fuck. It goes
fuck it, who cares?
One point,
Dirty bit. It does. I've had the time of my life, and I owe it all to you, and then it goes dirty.
As far as I'm concerned, this is credited to John DeNicola, who co-wrote "I've Had the Time of My Life" and "Hungry Eyes."
Oh fuck yeah!
And a bunch of other twats with punctuation in their names that I don't care about. And he wrote all the lyrics, as far as I'm concerned. So
yeah, fair enough.
And they're in the title.
$32 million. Is what this? No, it won't. 32 million on Spotify.
God damn it!
$1.12 it'll cost you. They've got a lot of listeners. $1.12. That's
probably the
much.
cheapest one this year.
It is, yeah. It's way too much.
Befits its quality. Yep.
Who's
up next?
Okay, so that was only number one for 1 week. So the general public at least have the common sense to not continue purchasing or listening to that for a period of time. Up next, friend of the podcast, Bruno Mars, back again with Grenade. So he's gone full Michael Jackson musically on this one. There's even a few Michael Jackson stars in this during the song. So I think you mentioned in the last song that Bruno had a period where he sort of was just 89 MJ, and I think this is sort of part of that in his vocal delivery at least. So
personally, I like this fuck site more than that Billy Joel knockoff thing.
Oh, it's better than that.
It reminds me of that sort of B tier Michael Jackson stuff, like his cranky power ballads where he pretended to be upset about women and stuff, which fitted between his like A tier dance stuff and his C tier stuff, which was mostly songs about pet rats and African famine and so forth.
Yeah, look, B tier. I'm going to say D tier, but no, is it? No, it's fine. So in the music video, he's pulling a piano along the street with a rope. So he's got the sort of grand piano. He's pulling that along.
I'm not really sure what that's meant to symbolise.
I don't really know either. He's going through a heap of different neighbourhoods. He's pulling the piano along. He goes through like a bit where there's like some, I guess to use Donald Trump language, some bad-looking hombres, something like that.
Sure.
He's through another bit where there's sort of, different types of neighbourhoods and all that. It's effectively a low-speed version of that Vanessa Carlton video with her on the sort of back of the truck. So it meets a lot of different people. He gets to the chick's house that I assume he's trying to bang, and she's just boned or about to bone some other dude.
Yep.
So he gets there, looks in the window, he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. So then he has to drag the piano all the way home again.
Yep.
He should have just taken a portable keyboard or even a boombox with the song he was going to play to her pre-recorded on it. Would have been a lot easier. So that's the video.
Yep.
And then the song itself is just sort of him talking about how he'd take a grenade for her.
Yeah, I kept hopefully waiting that a grenade was going to show up in the video.
Yeah, I was hoping so. Blow him up, yeah.
This is the second single from his debut album, Doo-Wops and Hooligans. Personally, I don't hate this one, I've got to admit. The chorus reminds me of some Weekend stuff, and he does have a good voice, I reckon, especially if you like, as here, mid-period Michael Jackson, at least, and, who doesn't, back when we just thought he was an abuse-scarred, psychologically broken man-child with unlimited funds and a plastic surgery addiction, and not something disturbing like he would do later on. But yeah, look, in an interview with Idolater, Bruno explained the backstory of how the song was created and what it meant for him. I was with my friend Benny Blanco, again, songwriter of Katy Perry's Kissed a Girl, etc. He was playing me some songs, and he played me this song that had a lyric like the one in Grenade. He said, "This band isn't signed, this is a CD that wasn't released." I said to Benny, "I can relate to that so much, I want to take that and make it my own." He was in contact with the dude, and I started writing my version, basically. It's a heartbreaking song, and I think everyone can relate to that. You're so in love with this woman, and you don't understand. What am I doing wrong? What am I not giving to you? I'll go as far as putting a bullet in my brain for you. Why can't I get that kind of love in return? So in short, he's written another incel anthem there. It's been a while since we had a new teenage dirtbag, and I think the world was clearly ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, not sure who he's referring to at the start there on that CD, but I don't think that person's getting any credit on this song.
No.
So without a doubt, Bruno Mars is a fan of the Katy Perry school of songwriting, I'm saying, especially given his previous exactly the same as Billy Joel song that he's already cranked out this year. Yeah. What did you think of this? Did you... Not a fan, I'm guessing.
No, terrible, but better than his first one.
Billy
I
Joel
agree with
one,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I did read that he told a UK newspaper, since I've been singing Grenade, I've been getting a lot of fake ones thrown at me on stage. At first it was cute, now it's beginning to spook my band out. With the stage lights, you can't see anything. It's dangerous and scares the shit out of me. So if there's any terrorists out there, domestic terrorists, and they want to take out Bruno... It seems like the very simplest thing to do would be to sneak a grenade into one of the shows, lob it up on stage, blow him up. Not saying you should do that, but I'm saying if you want to do that, that would be what you should do.
That was always fucking Ozzy Osbourne's story for his famous bat incident.
Oh, right.
Was that he said people would always throw rubber skulls, rubber snakes, rubber shit at me on stage, and someone threw a rubber bat at him, and he
Bit
went
the head
chomp,
off.
and then it was
It was a
actually
real
just
bat,
a dead
yeah.
bat that someone chucked on stage. Or it was a rubber bat, he was too fucked up to notice, and the people in the crowd thought it was a real bat.
Yeah,
Who knows?
no, exactly.
hard to tell.
2010, so around this time, September, so roughly the time this song went to number one, Bruno was arrested in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Hard Rock Casino for possession of cocaine.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
While talking to a police officer, Mars declared he'd never used drugs before. He pleaded guilty to a felony possession, and he paid a $2,000 fine and did 200 hours of community service.
Sure.
Isn't it always the way, Tom? The very first time you buy drugs, and remember, the drugs that Bruno purchased probably financed that IAZ song from earlier in the episode.
Sure.
It's terrible. The very first time you buy drugs, you get caught by the cops.
And you don't even get to try them.
Exactly,
you know?
I know.
Just,
That's no good for sure. So disappointing. Now, I don't know about... Some people have called out Bruno Mars for cultural appropriation.
Oh, how's that? Where's he from?
Well, he's not black.
Ah,
But
okay.
he plays up his racial ambiguity, to cross genres, apparently.
Sure.
So someone has called him out and said, look, what Bruno Mars does, he takes pre-recording work and just completely word for word recreates it, extrapolates it. He does not create, he does not improve on it, he does not make it better. He's a karaoke singer, he's a wedding singer. He's a person you hire.
He uses the Black Eyed Peas A-B method?
Yeah, I think he does, yeah. He's the person you hire to do Michael Jackson and Prince covers, yet Bruno Mars has an Album of the Year Grammy and Prince never won an Album of the Year Grammy. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
what he's
this is
been
why the
accused of.
Grammys are complete bullshit. So.
Now, Tom, I think I've finally figured out cultural appropriation.
Sure.
If you like someone, it's not cultural appropriation. If you don't like them, it is cultural appropriation. With Bruno, I feel like it's less cultural appropriation and it's kind of just more borderline copyright infringement.
Yes.
Or paying, quote, homage. So, I don't know. Like I figure
intellectual laziness and
Yeah.
a desire to get rich would be
desire to get rich, and he's just sort of copying past things that have been popular. But as we've talked about before, I think in this podcast, is that, you know, we live in a society now where people are influenced by so many things. I think it's really difficult to just sort of say, oh, this, you know, I don't look at Bruno and go, oh, he's stealing black culture and then trying to reuse it. I think he's just sort of taking the things that he enjoys and creating music. Isn't that just what writing music is? Looking at influences and redoing it?
It's weird. It just gets into weird territory. There's a few other rappers like this as well. I think, was it Migos? Someone?
Okay, yeah.
Was it? I can't remember because I don't know rap well enough. There's another rapper who's he was very big for a while, who's Mexican, and people were saying, well, that's not African American either. You know, why you're benefiting from, you know, this entire hip hop culture thing. But, you know, then it gets into like, well, how much of colour do you have to be allowed to do shit?
Well, I think that's Bruno's thing. He's from Hawaii, so I think people are saying, well, he's not African American, so can he be ripping off jazz? And it's like, well, for fuck's sake, man. I mean,
it's like your thing of, you know, when you go into a Korean restaurant and it's only staffed by white dudes, that seems vaguely suspicious and potentially a little bit racist. But you go in there and they all just look Asian, but they're all from Taiwan. They're just taking advantage of the fact that as a white person, I can't tell the difference between what a Korean person and a Taiwanese person looks like.
Exactly.
So but they're taking advantage of me in that sense, like, I don't even know who's being abused there, like, or if it's just, you know.
Sushi shops are the most racist shops in Australia, is what I'm saying. No one that works there is Japanese, but they won't employ white people.
Yeah, and I'm saying Bruno Mars isn't claiming to be a black person, but he's definitely taking advantage of the fact that white people can't tell the difference between a Hawaiian and a black person in a lot of cases. So, you know, they assume that he is, you know, when he's sitting next to a 70s soul lineup, that he's another African American. But, you know, if the guys in the lineup are fine with that, then fucking, I don't know, Jesus.
I wish
people would stop asking
anymore.
me my expert opinion on these matters, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't fucking care anyway. I mean, given that, what was that guy's thing I mentioned way back then? That dude had that the three question thing. Was are you mocking the original, like, which he's not doing? Are you acknowledging your influences, which he clearly is doing, like he's not even not pretending to be exactly like Michael Jackson, and are you profiting from it? Well, he's definitely profiting from it.
But that's just music in general. That's anything, though. That's any endeavour. That's anything.
And it's not like he's blocking successful black artists. The fact that Prince never got a Grammy and Bruno Mars did sucks. But it's not like they were competing for the same Grammy and then Bruno Mars pushed Prince out of the way to get the fucking Grammy. So, yeah.
Look, I can't remember anyone accusing Snow of cultural appropriation. That's all I'm saying, Tom.
I'm sure if he came out now, he'd be greeted with exactly the same warm reception that he was when he first released that first 12 inches back in the day of Snow.
And look, he may Tom, have been borrowing from both black culture, being African American culture, and the crazy ragamuffins, the Jamaican guys as well. So
he was a real Chet Hayes of his
he's
time.
pinching from a couple of different things, but no one seemed to have a problem with it at the time. Cultural appropriation wasn't even mentioned. So I'm giving Bruno the green light to do as he pleases, because we live in a society now where everything is just taken from something else. So
Well,
that's
I mean,
okay.
it's like, this is why people are fine with Chet Hayes, because,
Yeah, I know.
he's not mocking the Jamaicans. He's just has smoked so much weed he thinks he's Jamaican.
Yeah.
He's not refusing to acknowledge his influences, because he obviously loves rap music, and he's certainly not profiting from any of his rap
He's
music,
not
because
profiting,
as
no.
far as I know, he's never sold a single song in human history. So.
Exactly. Now, lyrics, have we touched on these, Tom? These are good.
They're pretty fucking incilly. What you don't understand, I gave you all I had, you tossed it in the trash. To give me all your love is all I've ever asked. What you don't understand is I'd catch a grenade for you, throw my hand on a blade for you, I'd jump in front of a train for you. I'd do anything for you. I would go all through all this pain, take a bullet straight through my brain. Yes, I would die for you, baby, but you wouldn't do the same.
I like that he's rhymed brain with same, because I remember Aerosmith did that when in Jamie's Got a Gun they said he copped a bullet in his brain and he was never the same.
That's right. And then they found him underneath a train. So she shot him through the skull and then pushed him under a train.
This is
just in case the bullet through the head didn't do the damage.
This is a reworking of the Aerosmith song, I think.
I mean, this is fine. This is all well and romantic when fucking Bruno Mars does it on his Grammy-winning album, but I type this out on an 8chan page and suddenly I'm the potential school shooter,
No. The cops get involved, so they track your IP. It's terrible.
How's he doing?
51 mil for Bruno. We did that before.
Fuck, that's massive.
Yeah,
that's
heaps.
just shy of Rihanna.
I know.
Fuck
He's
me.
number one. $2.88 for this.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, so moving on. Final song of the year.
Big year.
Guy Sebastian featuring Evie. Who's that girl?
Jesus Christ.
Now look,
Well, look,
This
if there's one
is,
thing you can say about Guy Sebastian, it's that he has lasted a surprisingly long time for a guy who was in a reality TV show.
yeah, I mean, we're still talking about Guy, but I can't remember there being a Scott Kane song for some time, or
No.
haven't been any more scandalous songs.
No, even
so-
bloody Shannon Knoll died off after a while. I
Any
think
Robert,
he's still on there,
Robert
but-
Millsy Mills, none of that action, so I don't know. Look, this is one of Guy's better songs, dare I say.
Low
I mean,
bar, but
it's still
yeah.
fucking terrible, but it's one of his better ones. I do feel like this would have been better in, say, Flow Rider's hands.
Yeah.
I sort of get that feeling. Now, we know the Guy story. We don't need to talk about fucking Guy anymore. But Evie. We've got, Evie's a new character here for us on the show. She comes in.
Evie or just Eve?
I think, I don't know. I thought it might be Eve. I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought it was Evie, but I could be wrong.
No, you could well be right.
So Evie, she comes in and she drops a Flow Rider style rap
She sure
in
does.
the bridge. Now, I'm not sure how she ended up on this. Did she owe someone money, or was it, someone had something like over her, like some sort of blackmail sort of situation?
Wasn't she like 10 years ago one of the people in the fucking world famous Lady Marmalade?
No. You're thinking of Maya.
Ah, sorry,
Sorry.
I'm getting that confused. Okay, so she hasn't come that far.
No. But
She has been on our list before, though. She's
Yeah,
been in number ones previously. Yeah.
She dropped a verse on this, and I sort of feel like someone said to her, "Look, just come in and do this fucking Guy Sebastian shit, and we'll wipe whatever debt you have for this or something."
Yeah.
Because I don't really know why she would do this, but I gather that there was some sort of duress involved. We know, as I said, we know about Guy, but Eve, what is there to sort of tell the audience about Eve that I don't already know? Well, she has a leopard print can tattoo.
Yeah, it's not.
Which has to be probably the worst look going, I think, for me. I can't think of anything worse than that, to be honest. Maybe a face tattoo of a leopard print can tattoo on your face. But anyway, she used to be a stripper. That was until rapper Maze, and he'll always be Murder Maze to me, convinced her to stop rapping. So Maze, the rapper, to stop stripping. Correct. Yeah, sorry. So I'm not exactly sure how that went down. Did Maze hear her rap and say, "You can't be stripping. You're such a talent, you're such a great rapper, you need to give up the strip game and come and rap. Yeah. Or did he see her stripping and was like, you can't be stripping with those cans, the fucking trash cans, you're going to make no money with those tits, you'd better give up the stripping and go get into the rap game. I don't know which way he came at it, but one of those two things happened, and she gave it up to get into rap.
It's an origin story that asks some questions.
Yeah, it does.
Another one is, it's not often that a guy with a dollar bill in his name convinces somebody to stop stripping.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was surprised at.
Maybe he should try it on Kesha, Then she could get off the pole, convince ASAP Rocky to dump Rihanna, and they could have a kid called $$$$$.
Yeah, I think so.
Pronounced Cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
I've heard dumber names. I'm not kidding, I have actually heard dumber names.
Yeah. So we don't know whether it was the quality of the cans or the quality of the rap that got her into the rap game, but there she is. She dropped her first recording on the Bullworth soundtrack. We've spoken of that before.
Yeah, that was... yes.
So that's what she started on, and then she obviously got involved in some other stuff. She's done a heap of material, no number ones, apart from this Guy Sebastian collab, which fuck knows how it got there. She's also a great actress, Tom. You may have seen her in Barbershop, Barbershop 2 Back in Business, or Barbershop 3 The Next Cut. Maybe all of those.
Maybe all of them, sure.
Yeah. And Eve has a beef. And I love a rap beef.
Oh, they're great.
She has a beef with both Foxy Brown and Little Kim.
Wow.
So she's got a beef with one of the Lady Marmalade crew.
Ah, okay.
So Eve has revealed that she's known Brown since 1997 and dubbed her a wankster. So she's using the old 50 cent lingo and a miserable, jealous bitch, which is a bit more to the point. She added, ain't my fault Foxy been out since 96 and her bank account looked the same. So, shit. There you go. So, look, love a rap beef. Don't really know any of the characters involved, but it's just great to have these sort of rap beefs, I think. So, Eve welcomed her first child earlier this year. So, another congratulations to her after Rihanna earlier. Son named Wild Wolf Fife Alexander Summers Cooper.
What did I just
Wild
tell you?
Wolf.
Should have stuck with Cha-ching.
Fucking hell. So there you go. And this song features the classic Guy Sebastian lyric, I never thought I'd fall in love in the club.
Also features the lines, I was on the mic doing my thing on a Friday night, had the floor burning up just right, everybody was bumping, the club was jumping.
Jeez.
See, Guy, if you start a song like that, then obviously I'm simply not going to believe anything you subsequently say.
No.
So you might as well make up some insane shit instead of the same Fell in Love on the Dance Floor song we've heard half a dozen times, just in the number one spot, just this year alone already.
Yeah.
Tell me your ass fell off, so you went to hospital except the ambulance drove in the ocean and you met Poseidon. Fucked a fish, fell in love, and woke up on a boat with a hook through your gills in the movie Waterworld starring Kevin Costner. Anything is better than I fell in love at the club. Do you really think you're going to write a better I fell in love at the club song than Right There by Flo Rida or fucking Genuine?
Exactly.
Pony, you're not. It's not going to happen. But that said, as you say, he's done worse. But the bar's pretty low.
Yeah, this is terrible, but fucking hell, he's done some absolute garbage, so this is better than a few of those other things. Got anything more to say about this one?
No.
No, that's it. So Guy Sebastian, 1.9 mil. Evie's got 4.8 mil. You know how much this is going to cost you, Tom?
How much?
$20. So we're getting to the point now where that's more than I would pay.
Does that mean that this is a collector's item? Are you telling me that a Guy Sebastian song is a collector's item?
I think $20 crosses over into collector's item territory.
Jesus
so,
Christ.
I mean, yeah, once you're handing over a lobster for a CD single, I guess, yeah, because you can. The other ones are like $2.80. You can't really do much with that. But $20, you can go and you can get a sandwich for that. You can get You can get a lettuce for that much.
Buy a latte in Melbourne.
You get a lettuce and a latte. There you go, the old LL combo. So that's it for this year for those hits.
Sure is.
Unfortunately, Tom, for the Australian public, the two best songs of this year only maxed out at number 3.
Okay.
And those two best songs of 2010 are Usher and Pitbull, DJ's Got Us Falling in Love. The DJ's got us falling in love again. You know that one?
I know that one.
It's fucking great.
Sure.
And Flo Rida and David Guetta, The Club Can't Handle Me Right Now.
We've spoken about that. That's the one where they have to literally evacuate the building.
The club is unable to handle Flo Rida and David Guetta.
Right.
So they're the two best songs of the year
Sure.
by far. Maybe one of those Rihanna ones is probably pretty good as well. So
I'm sure there was plenty more Rihanna stuff that didn't get to quite number one that was in the top 10 this year. Like, probably half that Rated R album was in the top 10.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. So anyway, thank you for listening.
Yes.
And we will see you in coming weeks for 2011. I hope there's no more fucking Black Eyed Peas, to be honest. I don't think I can
Check
handle it
out
anymore.
the YouTube, check out the Instagram, Sunglasses at Night. Say
Take
hi
care.
to your mum for me.
Bye.